quarter is going as per usual, which means
Busy.
busy and frustrating, to be perfectly honest. I'm one of Angela's colleagues. I'm in the social science division where I teach history and political science, and I'm on Angela's peer committee for the tenure process. So I'm just here to observe the class. So I'm going to turn off my video when Angela starts the material and just watch the class. I won't be asking questions or doing anything else. So even though the observer changes the nature of that which is observed, just don't pay any mind to me. I just want to see how, I'm just here to see how Angela conducts the class virtually.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here. It's nice. It's nice to have an extra person and you know, feel free to interact with us and have fun with us. This is just for us to have that moment of like face to face. I think it's good. It's good. I miss seeing you. I do. It's nice.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, by the way, I may have to bow out before the class is over as well.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. Stay as long as you would like, and then you can watch the recording if you feel like, you know, watching some other pieces if you need. And it's all going to be posted for everyone that could not be here today as well.
I'll be watching live for at least an hour.
Perfect. Sounds great. And not everyone is here tonight, so probably will not take that long for everyone to visit their lesson and all that we have to do. So it might be a little shorter anyway, but that's cool. That's cool. Thank you, Dr. Chisholm. All right, Rachel. Oh, sorry, Myra, do you want to ask a question?
Lorena sent me a message. She said she was going to log in late to let you know because she was out of town, but she was trying to get her internet to work for her. I think she said she was going to try and do hotspot.
Okay, yeah, we'll see if we get out of here a little earlier. We can email her. So Rachel, that doesn't happen like the last time. Poor thing, you connected later, and poor thing, she thought we had a different link. I felt bad. I'm so sorry. Yeah, you were out of town too. Yes, we can hear you. Let's see. Maybe remember that happened one time that you had your microphone was either.
How about that one?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. There's different microphone settings. So yes, I just chose a different one. Okay. Yeah. Last time I had trouble, but there was a lot of other extenuating circumstances, but I'm feeling super with it this quarter. So
Good. Wow, that's a great quarter for everyone. We're feeling great. We're feeling lucky. So tell us, how's your quarter going and how's everything?
good. Yeah. Full time, 4 classes. Yeah. The math class kind of scared me at first because the first test was about some things that I had to do a lot of relearning, but I call my brother in Colorado and he helps me out. But then after the first test, now we're into topics that I remember learning in that Math 108, I think it was. So it was like,
More familiar.
Familiar stuff. Yeah. So if it gets easier, that's great. Start out hard and get easier as it goes. Wonderful. Just a little scary at a moment. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a rock star when it comes to math. So, you know, it was just that beginning getting kind of.
I love math, but you know, when you learned it a very, very long time ago, it's kind of like, ooh, I don't remember that and don't remember ever learning that.
Right. Did you have any strategies that you can tell us?
Honestly, support. Usually I can use reasoning, but if I cannot find the pattern, I have to get another set of eyes. But that's what I loved about Math 108. It was in person and our teacher encouraged, I forgot what she called it, but math study groups. And we got extra credit for meeting with our classmates outside of class. And I loved that. I got to support people and I got to be supported by all of us trying to figure it out together is a great way to learn.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. That's great. All right, now we have Teresa. She might be there. She might not. She's taking care of her children today. They were not feeling that great. So let's see. Teresa, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
How are you?
I'm going crazy. Oh my goodness.
How's
Started
your
out with It
going?
started out with one kid, and now I think I'm 4 in. Yeah. As long as I'm good and taking care of them, I feel like if I were to get sick, then I don't know what my kids would do. I'm
Right,
the glue to everything.
right. I bet. And how's everything going for you this quarter?
It seems to go good. Like Rachel said, math scared the heebie-jeebies out of me. I was mortified. And then the math tests, I felt like, because I did the study plan, and I felt like the ones that I struggled on were the ones that were on the test. But I kind of remembered, like, I took my notes and I was trying to go through my notes, like I organized it and everything, and it helped. But I'm like, oh my gosh. And now that we're into the next chapters, I'm like, oh, okay, this is 108 all over again. So I hope it's like Rachel said, the worst is out the way. And then it's easy from here on out.
Yeah, definitely. I love how brave you're all getting. You're almost done. Great
Oh,
job.
We're becoming experts on this whole multitasking online and working under pressure.
Yes,
We're at the end of the tunnel, so it's okay.
yes. So here's my daughter. She came from school. Hi, Mama. How are you? Say hi. How's your day? Say something. Say hi. Say hello. This is Julia. Say hi, Dr. Shism. Say hi. All right. Are you gonna go have dinner? Yes, go wash your hands, go have dinner. Thank you. So you just came to say hi. All right. Yeah, I love how you're all like just really getting ready for your student teaching, and it's gonna be pretty soon, huh? That's amazing. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for becoming this brave cohort. And I love what everything you've been doing, and it's just really exciting. Really exciting. I just have good things to say about all of you, and I'm really excited to see what you came up with for tonight's class. What do you think of this book so far? Our diversity and social our social
I give it
justice.
thumbs up as well. I liked how short and simple, and like you can understand, like the very first one about the chocolate ones. I remember in school doing it. And then when they brought it up about how not every kid has the same environment, so it's a struggle for them if they're coming from a low income environment to begin with. I was like, man, I never thought of that. Never thought of that.
Just a simple fundraiser at a
Yeah,
school. How
yeah,
can
and it
it be
probably
so
works.
difficult for some kids and families, right?
Yeah, and it probably works. Maybe, like, I guess a parent said, well, it's always worked before. Yeah, maybe it hasn't. It's just maybe that this parent actually got the nerve to say something. Maybe it hasn't been working this whole time. They just assumed it was because they were looking at the numbers.
Yeah. Right?
Yes,
Can
but I like the book.
Right. Like, what are some other ideas, other things that story about like a simple fundraiser, some ideas of like, other cases, not case studies, but cases in your life, things that you can think about, like as a teacher, what are things that you need to be like thinking about, like about equity that you might be like just not even aware of, but what can pop up like in your life, like as a teacher in a classroom? Like,
It's when we ask the students, let's say we're having a program and we want everybody to look nice, or we want everybody to look the same. And then we do the whole, okay, we need all the boys to wear black pants and white shirts, and we need the girls to wear like a black skirt, especially if it's for like choir. And we let parents know maybe a week. Some people, I know personally, I'm always at work and my children don't always tell me things. So they'll tell me like the day before or the day of. It's like, where am I going to find that right now? Especially if it's like, it depends in the season too. Okay, where am I going to find that right now?
right.
We, as teachers, I think that maybe we need to have all that stuff thought of when the school year begins, like things that you will need and when you need them by. That way, getting on parents, thinking as a parent, but also being considerate as a teacher. How would I feel if somebody, you know, asked for something in a timely manner?
Right.
I think that's my biggest thing too, is I can see, I understand that there's no way to get around that no teacher has enough funds to provide absolutely everything, and we have to ask for help, but it has to be ahead of time. If teachers could just please plan really far in advance and limit, don't have it back to back, don't have them requiring something in every month or every other month, would just be too much. Just a few times, and it's pre-planned and you know about it ahead of time, and you have lots of ways to check in on it and remind families who are busy, and then also reach out to people who can donate extra, so no one is left not having anything.
Right. Be resourceful, right? Be resourceful, but plan it out. Yeah, I like how you said that, Rachel. Absolutely. Jessica, you had your hand up.
Yes, I was just going to add to that, that's what usually happens in the beginning of the year. We ask parents how would they like to communicate with the teacher. So they, they choose whether they want a text message, an email, or a phone call. And so we always try to remind parents that way on the form of communication ahead of time, because we know the students don't really often, like Myra said, maybe they just don't have time, or students students are probably thinking something else and then they forget. We shouldn't be putting that responsibility on them all the time. So it's good to also have that, like Rachel said, also to prepare ahead of time and have that available for our center. We do that as well, that like Rachel said, also teachers don't have a lot of resources, so we should ask for help, right? And we try to be as creative as possible, and use the materials that we do have and try to use that in some way, so that way everybody can be involved, because sometimes there is that child who doesn't participate because probably poverty or other stuff, right? And we don't want them to feel excluded. So we try to come up with ways to be creative, which is good that we live in a time of technology, because we can always search online for a lot of different things. So we can, if you have paper mache, you can just quickly say like how to do something really quick. I think we're very lucky that we have that technology and other teachers that you can ask for help.
Right.
Also very surprising how many businesses want to help, but they don't know you need help until you say something. I used to have families bring an egg carton for a specific project, but then I had a family who owns a coffee shop who has piles and piles of the egg cartons in their restaurant. And so now I don't ask the families, I just ask them when that time comes around, and they bring me as many as I want, as many as I need. So over the years, you start to make connections and find people who, when you say I need watercolors, get on Amazon and buy you a box of 50. And then you're wondering, I don't think I'll ever need to buy watercolors again.
Right. And why was that a struggle before, right? Yeah. You just have to be resourceful. Right. Teresa, I think Teresa was going to say something.
Yeah, it kind of takes me back to when my daughters first started school. I remember when they did the whole Middleton farms for the pumpkin patch. Mm-hmm. And I remember the teacher sending out a piece of paper saying that if they can bring $5 for their entrance. And I remember my daughter's friend had told her, yeah, something along the lines that she wasn't going to be able to go because her mom didn't have money or something like that. So I personally reached out to the teacher, because that's sad. I personally reached out to the teacher and I told her, hey, I know that you sent a letter But if you need help with, if like a few students, or it doesn't matter how many students need $5 to go, I rather just pay for their entry fee versus them not just going to school that day. So what she did is that she kind of knew the students that who were going to probably miss that day because they didn't have the $5. And I was like, and since then I was like, if you guys have any projects, anything that has money to involve, just let me know. And I'm the parent. That comes back to the teacher relationships, that we built that relationship to where she wasn't shy to ask me, because she knew I wouldn't want something like that. I wouldn't want my daughter to be in a situation like that, because kids, they know when they can't have something, and they know that they can't do extra things. So that relationship that we had, she was able to be like, oh, hey, Teresa, do you think you could bring like an extra box of Kleenexes or baby wipes, or we're kind of running low on snacks, and just so she wouldn't have to fit the bill herself. So I feel like that comes down to, hey, like what you said, let people know ahead of time, because if I know ahead of time, you know what, we're gonna need, these are the things that we run out of, these are the things that children are going to need for a concert, then I have no problem extending my hand. But it comes, like I said, some teachers, you just don't know, because teachers don't really speak up, and I feel like they end up taking they fit the bill, when it's like a community, it's a classroom, we're supposed to help out each other, I guess. And that just reminded me of that, and it was so sad. And actually the teacher that my daughter's first grade teacher, we're still in contact. So, but she moved schools, but when something like that happens, she knows she can reach out to me, and that's who I was originally going to do my student teaching with, but I'm doing my student teaching with her student teacher, her student the one that she did her student teaching with. So yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Small world, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And as we go, and as we read this book, you'll see like one chapter is going to be about, poverty, sexual orientation, religion. Every case study will be about a different topic. And you will be thinking, I never thought about that. I've seen that. I've lived that. And if that happened in, my own classroom, what would I do? And it's going to be one of those things. You're going to be like, oh, wow, I never thought about that. What if this happens to me? Like, would I be in trouble? What if, right? So those are just things for you to think about, and for you to be open to, just thinking. You never know if you're going to be in those situations. And some of those topics might get you fired. You never know. Depending on how you react and what you do. But if you are a person of like good thoughts and good actions, you shouldn't be worried, about any of that. How you are going to handle it is how you're going to show your students that you care, and how you're, in the families, and how you're going to treat them, and how you're going to, articulate that is how you're going to show your principal and the people you serve that you are, the person for the job. So just be thinking about that, and do your very best, use your judgment, and just kind of try to be honest and open. And like this particular fundraiser, just be open to thinking about cultural aspects and, financial aspects, and so on and so forth. That was just one example of readings that we're just like, wow, I never really thought about that. That can affect a lot of people, and just doesn't work for everyone. So yeah, there's not a lot of material out there for us to read. And it's really kind of sad. Nobody has really published a lot of books about inequities in education yet. I wonder why. Why do you think that is?
I think it's still a taboo that, the less you talk about it, the less attention you bring to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's better to still be something that you don't talk about. But now, with everything that's going on, it's like, no, we need to start talking about some of these things, and, try and see how we can fix it or make it better, and not be not afraid, but not be concerned about, you know, hurting people's feelings or what's the word that I need? Just making people aware, because sometimes people are not aware that it is a problem.
Absolutely. Yes. I think you're right on, Myra. I feel that way too. It is a taboo, you know, and if you don't talk about it, maybe it will go away, right? Like nobody will really remember it's there, right? It's interesting. Yes. Okay, so today we have a few lessons to talk about, right? I want to see what you came up with today, and we have like 3 lessons. We have, let me make this a little bigger. I have Rachel that will be talking about fairness, and Jessica will be teaching about heritage, traditions, and history. And I have Myra will be teaching about religion, right, in kindergarten. So we have one kinder, one first grade, and another kinder one. And then the week that we meet again, which will be week 7, we'll have accepting diversity, and then respect, bullying, and culture. I think those are awesome topics to think about. Like, how would you bring those topics up when students are in your class and they are like, you know, they are not aware of those topics per se, but they are living it. They have trouble with those topics, like fairness. What's fair, what's not? Every day, those things are happening. Why does so and so have a red pencil and I don't? Like, it's as simple as having an object or having a pair of shoes that is different than mine. It could be like or an opportunity to do something and I don't, right? Heritage, how do you understand where you came from, who you are, right? Your traditions, who you are, right? And then religion, that's a great one, Myra. I'm glad you picked that. Like, how do you teach a kindergartner about religion? I cannot wait, right? My daughter's going to be in kindergarten. How do I teach her about religion? I'm excited to see. Hopefully all 3 of you found some sort of connection with literacy, like, you know, a book or a suggestion of reading. Hopefully, we'll see. If you didn't, we can find those connections together. We can find some more ideas, but it will be cool to see how those connect with the literacy points. Maybe even math, we can find more connections there. Other topics that we might want to research later are some right here, right? LGBTQ, stereotypes, human civil rights. I had that list for you since the first video that I recorded. But gender issues, sexuality, immigration in some schools around us here in our area, that would be a very good topic to talk about as well. All right, so lesson 1 is Rachel. Do we want to follow the order, or do we want to like have different orders?
It doesn't matter to me. I'm fine going first unless someone else really, really wants to. Yeah? You're fine with me going first? Yes or no? Yes? Okay.
All right.
So I have the ability to share my screen. Okay, let's see here.
Yeah, you take us wherever you want.
Okay. Well, I'm also presenting in the next class too, so I need to make sure I don't get those things mixed together. Okay, let's go to slideshow. Can you see my screen right now?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
awesome. Okay. Fairness isn't always equal. So the state standards I'm using for kindergarten social studies skills are listed here. It's mostly kindergartners needing to be able to talk about viewpoints about concerning fairness and sharing their own viewpoint and recognizing the key ideal of justice and fairness. Mostly the community that we talk about in kindergarten is the classroom community. But if they're capable, you can go beyond the walls of the classroom and get them to think a little bit more. These standards, of course, I found at the OSPI website. So the objective of the lesson is students will increase their social emotional awareness and understanding of how fair can be different for everyone. There's a lot of material, and I own a lot of books on this topic, and I only spent 4 hours on this, so I had enough time to think through 2 days worth. But this is something that I don't know an average classroom how much time you should spend on it, but you could certainly spend at least a week talking about fairness, especially at the beginning of the year when you are already spending time on rules, because fairness kind of justifies how the purpose of rules. Yeah. Yes. So it's a great topic for kindergarten, and so obviously you could spend a lot of time on it, and it's a big it's very relatable to this age group. So that's the materials list. Day 1 is focused on the book Fair is Fair. And the main idea is that fair is not always equal in life. And there'll be an activity where they apply that to homeschool play in the world. I would start out with a morning meeting. A curriculum I found has a bunch of little, you can laminate these and put them on a ring and use them at morning meetings. So I'll use one now. Let's pretend we're in class. And this is a response card. We're having a morning meeting. I noticed in the first grade class I was observing, every day up on the projector, there was a question that the kids would get out their journal and write about. But this is kindergarten, so I don't see this being something that they get out a journal and write about. They're just learning to write. But it can be a discussion at a morning meeting. So here's one for you. Polly and Rosalie got new shoes when school started, but Polly's shoes are already getting tight. So she is getting new shoes this weekend, but Rosalie is not getting new shoes. How is this fair? Does anybody have any ideas? How is that fair? Go ahead, speak up.
It's fair because now her feet won't be hurting her because her foot is growing.
Oh, so yeah, your feet hurt when your shoes are too tight. But if they are not too tight, your feet aren't hurting. You don't need new shoes. That seems fair. Here's one more. Brooklyn and Kevin go to the eye doctor. Kevin gets to pick out glasses, but Brooklyn does not. How is this fair? Is somebody else who hasn't answered want to try?
Was it Brooklyn who got new glasses?
Kevin got glasses.
Kevin got glasses, and Brooklyn didn't. Does Brooklyn need glasses?
She didn't need them. Only Kevin did.
Then maybe that's why.
That's probably why.
Yeah.
You don't need glasses if you don't need them. You get on what you do.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So yeah, there's lots of these. You could use just conversation starters. And this is giving the kids a chance to evaluate fairness. Thinking about, how is that fair? Then we would move on to reading the book. Do we have time for me to read it? Or do you want me to just tell you about the book?
How long is it?
That's a good question.
Let's see.
I would say that when I read this book to my class and we have a discussion, it takes probably 10 minutes.
Yeah, would you like her to read it? Yeah, read it. Let's see. Yeah, why not?
Is there a way, can you guys see me? Am I big enough, or how can I make me?
I can spotlight you. Let's try that.
Oh, okay.
Can you see her big? You can stop your screen sharing, and then I can spotlight.
That's probably it. If I stop, oh, there we go. Thank you. Thank you
Perfect.
very much.
Yes.
Fair is fair. The great thing about this book is the part I need to read doesn't have an important image on it. So I can keep the book like this and read the back. Zookeeper loved all of her animals, but she was especially fond of hare, right there, another word for rabbit, giraffe, and elephant. She fed them herself every day. She gave hare a handful of food. She gave giraffe a wheelbarrow full, and she gave elephant a whole truckload. Look at that. Right there and right there. They were all healthy and happy because each day they had just enough. One day they were lounging under a giant shade tree. Each was speaking about how much Zookeeper must love them. Hare bragged. Did you know Zookeeper gives me a handful of food every day and it's exactly enough? She must really love me. Giraffe laughed. Well, she must really love me because I get a whole wheelbarrow full. What do you think of that? Elephant trumpeted out an even bigger laugh. Well then, said Elephant, I must be the most loved of all because I get an entire truckload. Not fair, shouted Hare. Why should you two get so much more than I? Not fair at all, said Giraffe to Hare. Zookeeper must love Elephant more than us. They're not looking happy. Giraffe, Hare, and Elephant all looked at each other in silence. But I know how to make things fair, said Giraffe. When Zookeeper gives us our food, we can pile it together and split it evenly. Then things will be fair. There it is. And that's what they did. The next day, they piled their food together and split it evenly. Each animal got the same amount. Before we finish, let's stop and think about that. What do you think about their plan? Do you think it will work? Now's a great time for the students to pair and share so they can think about it. Okay, hey, do they think that's fair? Most of the time we do. Everyone gets the same amount. That's fair, right? We should all get the same amount. Students are going to talk and then they're going to share why they think it's fair or why they don't think it's fair. And then we can finish the story. Do any of you want to comment? You guys have any comments?
Yeah, well, I think the elephant's gonna be really hungry, and somebody's food's gonna really go bad. I think.
You think that's what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Anybody else? Have you heard this story before?
No.
No, it's
Not at all. What? Right, Jessica. What do you think?
Anybody else? Are we ready? Yeah.
I think this book, I've never heard it before, so it was nice to. I think the children will be able to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I don't know how to explain it, but I like it. It's good.
It's a great book. Yes, I enjoy using it. Yeah. All right. What happens? Oh, after eating about a handful of food, Hare was stuffed, but he still had a large mound of food. He's so full. After eating about a wheelbarrow full of food, Giraffe was stuffed, but she still had a large pile of food. But Elephant ate all his food, and he was still hungry. He gazed at the piles of food that Hare and Giraffe still had and wanted to ask for some. But he thought, well, fair is fair. He walked around his pen with his stomach growling. We all probably know how that feels. Our stomach growling. His is growling. After several days, Hare became fat from eating so much, and his leftover food towered over him and took up his entire living space. Hare thought, I might get buried alive soon. He's nowhere to live now. Too much food. Ouch, Giraffe was also getting fat, and she kept tripping on piles of leftover food. She fell on her knees. It hurts. All this food's in the way. Elephant. Does he look different? Elephant was the most miserable of all. He was getting very skinny and pale, and he was always hungry and grumpy. And even though they all said, well, fair is fair, none of them were healthy or happy. Look at those bandages on the giraffe's knees. Zookeeper saw how the food towered over Hare, and how Giraffe's knees were badly bruised, and how Elephant had become so skinny and grumpy. So she called a meeting under the giant shade tree. What's going on? Zookeeper asked. Giraffe explained how they all wanted to get the same amount of food so that everything would be fair. We don't want anyone to be loved more than anyone else. Is it fair for Elephant to be hungry while two of you are buried in food? Asked the zookeeper. The three animals thought about this. Hare said, no, that doesn't seem very fair. Elephant and Giraffe agreed that it wasn't very fair at all. Zookeeper went on, fairness isn't everyone getting the exact same. Fairness is everyone getting what they need. She gave a great big hug to Elephant, Giraffe, and Hare. Does she love them all? Yes. And then she gave each one just enough food, and they didn't care how much it was or how much the others received, because each one knew that they were loved. Look, doesn't Elephant look happy and healthy again? Yes. And that's the end. So I'll go back to sharing my PowerPoint here. There it is. Okay. So after reading the rest of the story, we think about what the author was trying to teach us. What do you guys think the author wanted us to know? My hope is the kids get out of that fair isn't equal, right? That the animals were healthy and happy by getting what they needed, not more, not less. It's not going to be the same as someone else's. And this would be a great time to have a poster that you're going to put in your classroom. This one shows a bear with a heart on it. Bears love honey, but look at these other animals. I don't think they want honey, right? They don't want the exact same thing as the bear. They each want and need different things. It's okay. Whoops, too far. So now we can apply this learning. And so this is where I would take kids and divide them into groups, give them an assignment at their table, and share their viewpoint. I have a Padlet. You guys want to participate in that? I think what I can do is, let's see here. Let me find the, me find the Padlet. I think I need to pull it up on this screen first, and then I can share it. There it is, fairness. What if I put the Padlet link in the comment box? Can you do that?
Good idea.
Or the chat box? Here we go,
Yes.
chat, and paste. There we go. When you get that, you can pull that up on your side. Does that allow everybody to be able now to? So I went ahead and put you guys into groups just alphabetically. You can find your name and imagine you've got your partner with you and you're talking at your table about what you think you know about fairness. This is just based on, okay, so we just kind of got introduced to the idea, fair's not always equal. What is fairness? So my question for you, Angela, is, will I be able to see other people's comments as they make them?
I think so. I wrote mine. Can you see mine?
Oh, okay.
If you
Yeah.
kind of use the little
Teresa, okay.
yeah, can you see it? If you click that little round mark on the top right over here on the top left where it says Padlet.com, you refresh the page.
Oh, okay.
If you refresh it, then you'll be able to see it kind of like on the left. Go with your mouse on the left by the little padlock.
Okay.
Right.
Looks like it's.
What says Padlet.com? There's the little
Mm-hmm.
arrow that is a round arrow.
Mm-hmm.
That's the refresh button.
Okay. So if you guys were kindergartners, then I'm trying to imagine, okay, so they're sitting at tables. Would I walk around with a Post-it note and visit each table and write down the idea that they'd chosen and then take it to an anchor chart and we post it there. And as we learn more about fairness, we can, it'll be a living document kind of a thing. But obviously they probably would not be able, I'm thinking beginning of the year. So I'm trying to imagine not a lot of writing happening.
Right.
I would need to be doing a lot of writing, but they've already spent time at the rug being read to. I mean, kids need movement. I do that with my preschoolers. We don't stay in one situation for too long. So we've already been at the rug and we've had response card. We've had a story. Now we need to get to the table and do something. And so I'm imagining, I can't know how ideas work until I actually try it, but I'm thinking I could walk from table to table. I'm thinking that they wouldn't mind spending some time discussing this. And they've got, I have this small, but I'm picturing it's a big piece of paper with the image, the world. You're talking about world, you're talking about school, you're talking about the play, you're talking about home. So they've got that visual, okay, and hopefully it's keeping their conversations going. But.
Oh, definitely. I think you're right on. They can stand up and go draw. They could have sketches.
Mm-hmm.
You can read the prompt to them. Fairness in our world is, or at home.
Yeah.
Examples of fairness at school.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I have to build up to it. So, okay, day one, we're just going to do a lot of talking about fairness. And day two is where I implemented an individual assessment where they get to write about it, draw and write about it, and then meet with me during a teacher conference and explain their drawing and writing so I can assess, oh, okay, they're grasping fairness. But thank you guys for participating in that.
Yeah, you could also ask them to kind of like remember, like recall the story. Give
Okay.
examples about the book where, you know, they when they remember, parts of the story, you know, like, oh yeah, do you remember parts of the story when the elephant was, you know, when was it fair for everyone to, you know, something like that.
Yeah. Start off with just really getting the storyline concreted. Okay.
Or the glad strategy, the narrative input.
Yeah.
You could have scenes of the story. They could have, you know, just kind of
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
parts of the story that they could just kind of having order and then kind of remember those pieces and talk about fairness again. Then they stand up, they go to their little corners, they can draw, you know, just kind of like to do something more
Yeah.
kinesthetic. But yeah,
TCP teachers had a couple coloring pages that go with the book. So yeah,
yeah.
they even had the images for that.
And then the next day, definitely. And the next day they can talk about playground examples, like the school playground area, cafeteria, and then home world, like, or the same day. It might be a different time of the day, maybe morning, afternoon, just to kind of revisit the topic. You might have a group of students that really might need those lessons.
Yeah. No, it makes for a great year when kids can get the concept of fairness down.
Yeah.
Obviously an important social skill because that's mostly what the social studies for kindergarten is about. And there's a family letter that you could use to send home and just get parents talking at home. Oh, this is what my child's doing at school, fairness, and they can be discussing that at home. Let's see here, let's go back here. And then you can even order a poster that goes with this book, Fair is Fair.
Oh.
They have a poster available for that. So school-wide, it can just be, you know, something every class is talking about. How fair.
Oh.
And I later on when I present on building on students' needs, this really is important because as we're talking about making adaptations and accommodations for children, and kids are wondering why they get to do it differently than me, when they've already grasped that fair is not equal, they can better understand why things are different because that's what that person needs. So this is definitely a basic concept. So day 2, another great book that I enjoy is this one, which is definitely more focused on the classroom. And so my thought was, okay, so there's fairness at home, fairness at school, fairness in play, like when we play a game, does cheating or changing the rules, is that fair? Do you never have to share the swing at the playground? So there's play, and then there's the world, which would be someone who's totally getting this concept, could take it maybe a step further in a more mature way and understand fairness outside of those simple places. But I won't read this book to you, but it is about this boy who is noticing at school that there's a boy, another kid in the class, who gets to chew gum, but he's not allowed to chew gum. And there's someone who's drawing a picture when they're supposed to be writing. I guess I should stop sharing so I'm bigger again. Sorry. Let's try that. Do you have to spotlight me to make me big again? Sorry. I'm having trouble seeing myself, so you're probably struggling too. Well,
that's perfect.
I get kind of backwards. He's noticing he's having to use a pencil and paper, but she gets to be on the computer. He's getting to squeeze a squishy ball. And so he's asking mom why, and she goes on to explain to him what are some other differences. So some easier differences. Well, a child in a wheelchair, someone who wears glasses, someone who has braces, those are easier for him to comprehend. And so then she's able to relate that to kids need different things. Some kids need more breaks. Some kids need different ways of doing things. And so he just like, you know, and then personally, he knows he used to need training wheels, but now he doesn't. And so he knows, oh, some people, they just will probably need some help for a little bit, but then when they're able to do it, just like now he's able to ride a bike, he doesn't need it. So yeah, I think it's a great book, and I really like these 18 books. They have lots of good topics, but yeah, really well-made book. So day 2, you could talk about just focused on school. What do we see at school? What do we notice? How does that apply to us? Again, start with a morning meeting, read the book, and play a game where we sort. And I would give them a thumbs up, thumbs down on popsicle sticks, and everyone would get a turn, but they would still get to talk to their elbow partner before they make their decision. And then up on the board, we would have 2 columns, and I'd slide the card in the one that they voted for. But that takes it to another step where, okay, before the whole table was discussing fairness, now you're going to be responding, but you get to confer with a partner first before you vote on something being fair or not. But then hopefully they can end with an individual journal writing prompt where they write about a time they thought something was unfair. But when they meet with me, I can find out more about their drawing and their writings because it is early kindergarten. And if they need some help with that, I found a really good video where kids are talking about it. I don't know if we have time to see it, but it's a really cute 2-minute or 3-minute. Do we have time for that?
Yes.
I recognize I have trouble staying within time limits, so you will have to tell me.
No, go for it. No, go for it. Go for it. And what I love about your lesson is that it goes with
I'll stop sharing and then
because
share.
we don't see our other screen. Yeah.
Don't see it. Okay.
We don't see it yet.
Yeah.
What I like about your lesson is that it also goes with your other lesson that you're going to talk about later, the differentiated instruction.
I didn't realize that was going to happen, but it did.
Isn't that funny? Because yours is about students' needs.
Yeah.
Meeting students where they're at. So differentiating your lessons. So you're talking about fairness and what they need. And it goes hand in hand. And you pick the books that go with that topic that you're going to talk about later. It's kind of like it all came together. It's funny. You're going to talk about kind of the same things, but you're going to talk about strategies and things that you can do with your curriculum later, right? Like some suggestions. I bet that's kind of how you're going to talk, kind of go. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I'm excited to see how you're going to lead that discussion later. But it just kind of came together. I'm excited.
It did. Yeah. It's funny
I know. I'm proud. I'm really excited to see that. Proud of you. All right. And now we can see your screen. Yes.
Minimize. Sorry. I'm trying to figure out how to get out of there. Okay. Stop sharing.
That's perfect.
Okay. Fairness. Oops, okay. So yeah, I just felt like that video was a really good example of kids talking about things that aren't fair. And so they can probably relate to that idea. Can you think about something that wasn't fair? They can think of something and write about and talk about it. And then start to wonder, well, I thought it was unfair because I thought things had to be equal. But then can they start to relate this new learning to, I wonder now with this new learning, with this new idea of fairness, does my thought about that change? So yeah, just lastly, some things you saw were from Teacher Speak Teacher, and some were from VeriQuest. They have a unit on fairness. So that's it.
That's wonderful. Wow, good job.
Thank you.
What are some of your thoughts? Does anybody have a question for her? Let's give her some feedback. What did you think of her lesson?
I love how she started with the prompting questions for us. Those questions, because those kind of lead to the book about the elephant and the giraffe. What was that title again? That was really good. I really
There.
Yeah, I love that one. I never heard of it before, and That was so good. And I liked how I don't know, Rachel, you are just so amazing. I have nothing but good things, good thoughts about you. You're so natural, a natural teacher. Yeah. I don't know. She's just amazing. Mm.
That is true.
I love teaching, so I guess it probably shows.
Yes, the lesson was very organized. I love how you picked the standards, the Common Core standards, and you also combined the social studies, you know, and you went and you found the standards and you were like thoughtful about that portion as well to match, you know, the natural like skills that a kindergartner would have, you know, trouble with. Like that's the natural development of a child at that age.
Right.
Because you know how it works. Because you've been teaching the little ones for so long, you're like, naturally they'll have trouble with that, you know?
Well, when it comes to kindergarten, I try to think at what point in the year would I be doing that? Because if it was near the end of the year, then I would expect more independent writing attempts, right? But I have to think, this is something that needs to be taught at the beginning. So I need to have very little writing. Another fun book is this one, The Legend of Rock, Paper, Scissors, which I thought would be fun. As you go along, you talk about, okay, so sometimes we need to, like this book talks about, well, what do you do? How do you solve some of these problems that happen? And you could teach the concept of rock, paper, scissors, but reading the book is hilarious. I don't know if you ever have read it, but it is very funny about how they can't conquer anything in the area of the home that they reside. And so they go beyond their kingdom to search someone who can beat them. And they are super excited. Rock is so thankful that Paper conquers him. And Paper's so thankful because they finally found someone who can beat them. And then they just go about their happy ways. So I feel like it gives kids this positive outlook on when they lose. Oh, but Rock was so thankful, you know, he likes that there's someone out there who could beat him. But yeah, kindergartens might not know yet about how could you, you know, solve a problem. Here's the technique.
That is great. That is really great. Thank you for the suggestions.
If people ever want to suggest books, I love books. I love to buy books. Yeah.
Yes, that is excellent. You know, I would suggest that if you have a chance to record your affairs fair lesson, like you did here, but record it as if you were teaching kids and have a recording of it for a time that, you know, maybe you're going to have, you know, a substitute teacher in your class. Have it recorded now, have it ready for like, you know, maybe an interview time when you want to send that video. Or it's a great lesson. That is excellent. Instead of explaining the lesson like you did,
Right.
record it as if you were teaching it.
Oh,
Just to have it recorded have it in your YouTube channel. I like that.
okay.
Yeah, like a quick 10-minute, like just the story, read the story again, and maybe make it into the narrative input. Because it's cool because the text already on the back. It's
Yeah.
perfect. I'm like, wow, it couldn't have been better.
It won't be the first book I took apart in order to use it as a narrative.
And then you can do the bubbles with the speeches for like, you know, the second day, and you can like go back and like review the story and have them talk and kind of like have the kids do it. That's amazing. I'm so excited. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. That was a great lesson. Myra, do you want to comment on her lesson, and maybe Teresa wants to say something before we break? And then I'm going to suggest that Myra goes next before it gets dark, right? Yes, I was going to say Jessica is fine with it.
I really did like your lesson, because sometimes if you just talk about it like at the beginning of the school year, when those questions start arising in the classroom, they'll just have that in the back of their mind, like, oh, okay. So it's not that I'm being left out. It's just that maybe I don't need to be at the teacher table all the time because I already know the concept and I can, you know, be free to move around to the other stations. Or, oh, maybe I need to be at the teacher table because I still don't have that concept. So I really like it. I'm going to be ordering that book.
Yes. Absolutely. And you know, and it's for different ages too. If it's us, I had a great time like just getting involved with the story. And I'm like, the other pile of food is gonna go bad. That was my prediction. It's gonna last for days and he won't be done. The food's gonna go bad, you know? What about you, Teresa? Would you like to say anything? If she's there, she might not.
She like there's nothing really much to say. Rachel's good at what she does, but I do love the book concept. I kind of wondered, how do you teach fairness? But the book, it was a great visual as is, because they could see that it was, yes, it was equally, but not equal doesn't always mean fair. So that's a great way to teach the kids about fairness. Is okay, fairness isn't always equal. It's just just setting that in their minds, is that equal doesn't mean fair. Just having that concept, I guess, imprinted on them is a great start. She did awesome.
Yes.
Yeah,
The organization of everything is what I liked. I liked how you had your objectives and your standards. And you know what I would suggest? Add some sentence frames for English language learners. Maybe that's something that you could add to make it more differentiated. Maybe 3 levels of sentences, like a beginner level, intermediate, and advanced. That way you can differentiate so they can have more like talk. You know, they can talk about like what they loved about the story. They can like talk like a reflection about the story. That could be when they go in, you know, little groups around the room, and they have the cards, and you can add those conversation, you know, like the frames, like just to have the conversation like right by the posters. That could be how you can add that the ELL differentiated portion.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of how you could, you know, ramp it up, I guess.
right. Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to do an anchor chart, so that's why I was like, well, the Padlet would kind of get the concept of what would be on the anchor chart. But yeah, definitely there needs to be a lot of print visible. The great thing about little ones is they can relate to it. I've even asked the question, okay, I posed, what would happen if you, and let's imagine you have a baby. Most kids have in my class have baby brother or sister. Let's imagine you have, but let's imagine, just in case you don't, let's imagine you have a baby sibling, and for dinner you are all only going to have milk. Is that fair? You're going to be hungry, aren't you? Or let's imagine for dinner we are all having chicken nuggets, even the baby. Can the baby have chicken nuggets? No. So they catch on pretty quick. Oh yeah. So then you move on to, does the baby take a lot of naps? Do you have to take that many naps? Why not? Wouldn't it be fair if everyone's napping? They're like, no. Right. Oh, okay, because the baby needs naps, but you don't. So that's fair. Yeah. They can get it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Perfect. Let's then, if we're good for now, let's take a 10-minute break so we can like stretch our legs, grab something to eat or drink, and then we'll come back at 6:52, 53. And then we'll be back, and then Myra will go next, right? Before it gets dark and you have to leave, right? And then we'll come back, have your lesson, and then we'll have Jessica's lesson, right? Okay. And then we'll move on to our next topic. Will be differentiated instruction for the class 370. All right. Dr. Shizan, would you like to say anything before we break?
I was impressed that Rachel found those books that were exactly on topic. The other thing I'd like to say is that this validates something I used to say to tick off my friends in graduate school, where I'd say that everything I needed to know about political science I could learn from reading Aristotle. fairness not being equality actually goes back to Aristotle arguing for what he calls proportionate justice, where you treat equals equally and unequals unequally, because to do anything else is unjust, which I find really funny that we're coming back to this idea 2,300 years after Aristotle, who admittedly wrote in a society characterized by massive slavery.
Huh. Yeah. Wow, I'm gonna think about that. We just said.
It's in the Politics and the Nicomachean Ethics if you choose to read up on your Aristotle.
Yes.
I don't think I'm going to be coming back after the break. I have to help my wife prepare dinner.
That's a good task.
Good luck to the two of you who are presenting your lesson plans next. And I think I've got quite enough from the interaction to write the observation.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. Tell your wife I said hi, okay?
Will do.
All
Good
right.
night, everybody.
Yes, good night. All right, we'll be back in 10 minutes. 6:44, 6:54, we'll be back. All right? See you soon. All right.
And how to incorporate it in your class. I'm not too sure how it's incorporated in public school, but I work for private. So in private, we're able to talk about religion and talk about, like resurrection, and then Christmas, baby Jesus's birthday. And we still talk about Christmas and Santa Claus and all that stuff, but we incorporate religion into it. And I guess it's different than public school because since it is a Christian environment, parents already know that that's going to be taught. And we have different denominations. So we try to be culturally diverse when it comes to, some parents might be from one religion or another, but overall, we just stick to Bible teaching. So this is a question. Some people find their religion in fishing, hiking, camp, sailing, or going through scripture. This is a TED talk that I found that was very interesting. Do I have to share, or can you guys see it?
No, we cannot see the YouTube, no. Perfect.
Oh no.
They removed it.
It was supposed to go directly to that one.
Let's see. That happens sometimes. They move their TED Talks. That has happened to me a couple of times. Okay, we can wait. You can write that topic on Google and it will pop up, probably. Just kind of copy paste that name. It'll probably take you there.
Okay.
It's so exciting to watch those lessons. For me, I think it's like the most powerful part of like exploring the teaching that nobody really talks about. Like you can teach a lesson about any content area, but topics about social justice are really really powerful, honestly. Nobody talks about it. About those are the topics that are like taboo. It's cool. It's really cool to kind of dismiss
I
the.
really like the TED Talk that you posted.
You liked it?
Yes, I was like, oh my gosh, I think we need to go to every school and have them watch this video because, like, right now, my daughter has a teacher that I'm like, I want to know where she went to school because I think we need to send her back
Mm-hmm.
to take classes that I'm taking because there's so many things that I could see that she's not like, you're not supposed to call out students in front of people. And I kind of noticed that's kind of her thing. And I'm like, I think she's just teaching for a paycheck and not because this is what she wants to do. So I'm like, maybe I should send this TED Talk to everyone.
Everybody should watch it and get inspired. Everybody deserves a champion, right?
Yes.
Heard that TED Talk with my staff at a staff meeting, and they were like, "Oh my goodness!" It's like, yes. So if you're here not for the paycheck, but you're here. Okay, it's not letting me. Can you guys see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where I saved it as, but now it's saying that it can't.
See, try the little the search bar on top, the top right.
This one?
On the very right, by membership, and then sign in. The one on the right. So go back one. And then there's a little search, like the little glass,
The magnifying glass?
yeah.
I don't think I have a magnifying.
Yeah, right there.
I see it. I see it.
Maybe type the name of the TED Talk. What was the name of it? Just the title that you had in your
Maybe just search a small section of that. Specifically, what was it about?
Karen Armstrong. Just type Karen Armstrong. Without those numbers and letters and
Is it that one, Passion for Compassion, or right there, the
No, I think it's
Charter for Compassion?
No, it's this one, the golden rule.
Years, I've been feeling frustrated because as a religious historian, I've become acutely aware that of the centrality of compassion in all the major world faiths. Every single one of them has evolved their own version of what's been called the golden rule. Sometimes it comes in a positive version. Always treat all others as you'd like to be treated yourself. And equally important is the negative version. Don't do to others what you would not like them to do to you. Your own heart. Discover what it is that gives you pain. And then refuse.
Can you pause for a second? I don't think I can hear. If you go to share screen, there's a button at the bottom that says share sound.
You go to more.
Go to, so I'm gonna try to share mine. Watch, it's right here. So can you see my screen? At the bottom right here, it says share sound.
I can't see your screen.
You know, I'm gonna stop share. I'm gonna try again and see. What do you see my whole screen?
No, I don't. Let me.
No.
Can you guys see my screen?
Oh, okay, I'm gonna stop your sharing. Okay, now you can see. Okay, I'm gonna share this. You see my whole screen right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna, so if you come here, see right here, there's a like, little button. It says share sound. Can you see that?
I don't.
No. Let's see, desktop. You see my whole desktop,
Yes.
right? But you don't see my little box. You see this box that I'm moving?
Yes.
Yeah, this box.
Yeah. The
I'm moving a box, no?
I don't see a box. I just see the screen and then current collaborations.
How weird.
And then at the bottom it has like a happy face, the time, a rocket. I don't see any of those.
Weird. You should be seeing my all of my buttons. How weird. Okay, when you go to the whole, it says share like messages, share whiteboard, you know, share like PowerPoint. There's a box right at the top left. Sorry, the bottom left. That you have to click. It says share sound.
Okay.
The bottom left. So I'm gonna stop sharing. There you go. Found it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Perfect.
Inflict that pain on
Yes.
anybody. I become acutely aware of the centrality of compassion in all the major world faiths. Every single one of them has evolved their own version of what's been called the golden rule. Sometimes it comes in a positive version. Always treat all others as you'd like to be treated yourself. And equally important is the negative version. Don't do to others what you would not like them to do to you. Look into your own heart, discover what it is that gives you pain, and then refuse under any circumstance whatsoever to inflict that pain on anybody else. And people have emphasized the importance of compassion, not just because it sounds good, but because it works. People have found that when they have implemented the golden rule, as Confucius said, all day and every day, not just a question of doing your good deed for the day and then returning to a life of greed and egotism, but to do it all day and every day, you dethrone yourself from the center of your world, put another there, and you transcend yourself. And it brings you into the presence of what's been called God, Nirvana, Brahman, Tao, something that goes beyond what we know in our ego-bound existence. But you know, you'd never know it a lot of the time that this was so central to the religious life, because with a few wonderful exceptions, very often when religious people come together, religious leaders come together, they're arguing about abstruse doctrines or uttering counsel of hatred or inveighing against homosexuality or something of that sort. Often people don't really want to be compassionate. I sometimes see when I'm speaking to a congregation of religious people a sort of mutinous expression crossing their faces because people often want to be right instead. And that, of course, defeats the object of the exercise. Now, why was I so grateful to TED? Because they took me very gently from my book-lined study and brought me into the 21st century, enabling me to speak to a much, much wider audience than I could have ever conceived, because I feel an urgency about this. If we don't manage to implement the golden rule globally, so that we treat all peoples, wherever and whoever they may be, as though they were as important as ourselves, I doubt that we'll have a viable world to hand on to the next generation. The task of our time, one of the great tasks of our time, is to build a global society, as I said, where people can live together in peace. And the religions that should be making a major contribution are instead seen as part of the problem. And of course, it's not just religious people who believe in the golden rule. This is the source of all morality, this imaginative act of empathy, putting yourself in the place of another. And so we have a choice, it seems to me. We can either go on bringing out or emphasizing the dogmatic and intolerant aspects of our faith, or we can go back to the rabbis, Rabbi Hillel, the older contemporary of Jesus, who, when asked by a pagan to sum up the whole of Jewish teaching while he stood on one leg, said, "That which is hateful to you, do not do to your neighbor." That is the Torah, and everything else is only commentary. And the rabbis and the early fathers of the church who said that any interpretation of scripture that bred hatred and disdain was illegitimate. We need to revive that spirit. And it's not just going to happen because a spirit of love wafts us down. We have to make this happen, and we can do it with the modern communications that TED has introduced. Already, I've been tremendously heartened at the response of all our partners. In Singapore, we have a group going to use
charter to heal divisions recently sort of sprung up in Singaporean society, and some members.
We lost this screen.
I'm gonna leave you guys in a little cliffhanger, so you are welcome to go back and watch. But what I do like that she hits on is that that religion. Oh, is this one? No. Sorry, guys. Oh my goodness, where's my PowerPoint? Can you guys still see my screen?
No.
Well, what I like that she was talking about was that we need to be kind, right? So we're kind and we follow the golden rule. It will be, can you guys see my screen now?
No.
Is that if you are kind and you talk to your students, then you're teaching them by your character. So if you're showing the children that your character is kind and loving, just like Jesus was, it doesn't matter what religion you're in, because if you're portraying Jesus's character, it should all. Sorry, guys. You see my screen now?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So these would be some popular books that you would have available in your classroom. So then there's the Beginning Bible, and then there's Children in the Bible, because the Bible's actually, there's a lot of stories about children like King David, and all these Bible stories have lessons to go along with. It's funny because as we were looking at topics, it's all in the Bible stories. So if we have children that are arguing because they want to have something, it's like we just remind them, well, you know, what happened in the story of King David, and he was fighting a big giant, so there was a wall. So what did he do to break through those walls? And we're able to refer back to some of the Bible stories. So I really like this quote. You are a child of God. You are wonderfully made, dearly loved, and precious in sight. Before God made you, he knew you. There is no one else like you. If we remind children that, you're unique, you are your own person, and God loves you regardless of choices that you make, we're able to incorporate it with different lessons. So number one, I would break this down for the kids, and this would be in a circle time activity. So you are a child of God, you are wonderfully made, and there is no one like you. So putting religion into equity, and showing the kids that no matter your choices and no matter what you do, it's okay to make mistakes, and God loves you anyway. So this one, there's not enough of us to go into a breakout room. So let's just have an open discussion. What are your thoughts on religion and it being in schools? I know this is one of those taboo that, you bring it up and it's like politics and religion, we don't ever want to talk about, but it's there.
Yes, we can all go ahead and open our mics. Yeah.
I actually grew up in a small town, and although I guess you're not supposed to bring, it's a taboo, I guess, bringing religion into school. I remembered a majority, since it was a small town, everyone went to the same church, and it was a Christian-based church. Well, my family was Catholic, so it kind of left me out. It didn't bother me. It was just like, okay, everyone believes, because I've always, my parents were never like, oh, you have to believe this. We're Catholic, so you're Catholic. It was more of, they were very liberal when it came to, if you want to, you can believe in what you want to believe in. But in school, they always incorporated it, and it made me feel left out. But even though they were, I guess, incorporating their own religion, I really didn't have a problem with it. So I don't know. I just feel weird. I understand that there's different religions, and I guess teachers shouldn't, if the parents don't push their own religion onto their children, I feel like teachers shouldn't either. But then again, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like on the fence about it. I don't know.
I like that, Teresa. But regardless of religion, I feel that children should know that, they're loved and they're taken care of. And as teachers and as educators, we should reflect that character, not that judging character. And I've seen some of the schools that do have religion behind it try and push doctrine. And I believe that that's not right. Even though if the parents made the choice to have their children there, there's boundaries. Religion should be taught at home, not pushed. A specific religion should not be pushed upon a family or a child. But I do believe that we should just have, like Rachel, you know how Rachel has this aura when she says things that we're kind of like at odds and watching. Her character is calm and soothing. And I see Jesus character in her when she makes her presentations.
Well, I am a Christian, definitely, but I am a big believer that it is the home's place to teach what their child wants to know about religion. So I'm super curious because I'm not intending on teaching in a private school. I want to teach in a public school. I'm curious, what does teaching religion look like in a public school? Because I don't want to isolate children, like Teresa said, getting left out. So I even personally, even though I'm a Christian home and I run a program out of my home, I have spent years figuring out how can I slowly get away from religious-based stuff so that I incorporate everything. Because, you know, I had a Chinese family join me, and come to find out, she says, we don't celebrate Christmas in China. In China, the New Year's is like Christmas. So then it became, okay, we can talk about, as long as parents know ahead of time what we're going to be discussing, right? We can talk about it, but I need to make sure I find out the backgrounds of everybody, so I include everyone. So I can say, some religions celebrate Christmas. Some people's families don't celebrate Christmas at all, and they celebrate Santa. Some celebrate both. Some families don't celebrate any of that. They celebrate just the New Year. It's like Christmas. There's gifts. So we explore religions in a generic way, without, like you said, teaching it. I want children to walk away not knowing exactly what I believe personally. I want to teach them about the world, what is out there. And I have great books about that. I have great books about Ramadan. I have many, my husband's a nurse, but we have many doctor friends from India. So I've learned a lot about culture over the years, and I want to be respectful of all of that when I meet children, never assume anything. So yeah, I'm just curious. Tell me some ideas about religion in school. What does that look like?
What I noticed with my girls, we, like I said, we don't try to push our faith or our beliefs onto my children. They kind of decide what religion they want. They choose on their own. But what I do notice is at school, well, this is what I understand is they just teach the concept of God, not, oh, God says you have to do this and believe this and do this. They just, like, God is the creator, like just the very basic non-religion type of thing. Because I remember, because Catholics believe in saints. And so that's kind of what my daughters hear more about, the saints and God and Jesus and all that. And my daughter the other day, well, it was like a few weeks ago, because my oldest just did first communion. The second oldest, she was saying something about, yeah, my teacher said God, that we're his children and that they love us. And like the very basic of, I think, every religion says about God. So I was like, that's interesting. I didn't really ask her more about it or bring it, like try to put any attention on it, because it was something she was talking about. She was happy about it. She was like, yeah, she was cheerful as she was saying. So I wasn't gonna be like, hold up. Wait, what did the teacher say? Like it didn't affect me in either way. She was talking about him positively. And like I said, I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, we're Catholics. I don't want you talking unless you go through me or whatever. So that's why I'm like on the fence. I believe the US America is based off freedom of religion. So religion's more at home thing. But then again, I'm like, well, if my daughter was explaining or trying to teach me, I guess, about God, and she was all happy about it, who am I to be like, no, you can't do that? If they brought it in a positive way. So I think it's more of a how you come about it and kind of briefly talk about it, because obviously it's going to come out somehow, regardless. If you have a class pet and it dies and someone asks you where'd he go, like it's going to come out. And obviously you have to give like a very vague concept because it's taboo. And you might get a parent that's like, you know what, storms in saying, why did you talk to my kid about God? We don't believe in God, or something like that.
Well,
so that's why I feel like it's so so taboo.
Yeah, well, I feel like as a teacher, I play it safe in that anything kids go home and talk about, they say another friend said it, not me. If someone says something, I do the whole, we were taught how to be ready for CPS, right? You never overreact by anything a child does. We stay calm and collected about anything and everything that happens, right? And so it's the same with religion. Yes, kids talk about death and heaven, and when Easter's around, they talk about, Jesus died on the cross, and someone else might not believe that. Even the other day, someone said boys and girls can get married, and someone was like, no, they can't. I'm not going to bring my beliefs into it, am I? When they come to me, help us with this problem, I'll say, I've heard both of those things. Am I going to indoctrinate these kids on my side? I'm going to let them ponder the fact that, people have said both those things. They're going to have to go home and have a parent talk to them about it, because it's not going to be me.
Yeah, that's why I was like, if it wasn't expressed in a negative way or whatever, I don't see what the issue is, but I can understand why that would be something at home and not in school, because there's a lot of people that I know that are different religions. And like I said, in my eyes, I just remember how I felt left out because everyone from my town was Christians and there was a few handful of Catholics. And so it was like you were left out, and they knew you were Catholic, and they kind of stare at you like, what do you think? Or like trying to pressure you. And I'm like, I'm just here to learn. I'm here to learn math or whatever. I'm not here to criticize anyone's religion. I just feel like it put me on the spot.
Yeah. Well, and religion's a very big topic, because some things can be almost everything, every holiday almost can go back to some religious root, and some of them have several. There's a positive and a negative root. And so even the simple thing like having an egg hunt could cause issues. Some families are super religious and say, what do eggs have to do with Christ's resurrection? And others might be like, well, that's, has a satanic root to it, So there's it's hard to please people. So why do we even need to have that in school in the first place? What does an egg hunt have to do with education anyway? I'd rather focus on, like you said, teaching kindness. We have a million books about kindness and empathy. We could teach character, but religion, I don't know. I'd love to hear from Angela or Jessica. Speak up.
Right. So what I was going to say is, the way that I see it is I always took teaching, if you can even say that, right? Teaching religion, which is more of like not even teaching, it's more facilitating or exploring the topic, I think, is really bringing it up and allowing the space and the time in the classroom for kids to bring their own questions and allowing them time to research about religion, involving the parents, and allowing them to look at religion from a nonfiction point of view. An example was when it was Christmas time in one of the years that I was teaching fourth grade at my Angel Elementary School. The students were really excited about Christmas, but not just Christmas. They were excited to learn about Christmas around the world. And some of the kids were not Christian students. They really wanted to learn about how people celebrated Christmas all over the world, and the people that were not celebrating Christmas, what they were doing. So then, we had groups. They got to pick different topics, different cultures, and different countries, and different groups to study. And then they got to do posters. They got to talk. They got to present to younger students. So they were fourth grade. So they picked first and second grade. So I got to collaborate with other teachers. They brought the kids in. And also we got to go to other classrooms. The ones that didn't come, we went there. And the parents were super involved. We got to print photos, and it was just this big ordeal. but I had to present about Christmas in Brazil because that was my country. So I had to like put a PowerPoint together. Like I couldn't just sit back and relax. No, I had to present too, because that was like what they asked me to do. They really wanted to learn. And it was really interesting. It wasn't something that I came up with. They just really got excited about it. They just sometimes just bring it up and get started, and and you can't get in trouble for that. It was a public school, and I was not like saying, oh, I think this country celebrates it better than this country, or this religion is better than this religion, or we didn't get to talk about God per se, or specific things I believed in or they believed in, or and so it was just really nice to do that, to really see it from a non-fiction point of view.
Yeah, that's more of a cultural exploration. You're exploring other cultures. Religion is really a part of culture.
Yeah.
Part of your family culture. It's just
you're bringing your it's really
what happens in your family, whether or not a child's going to come to class on an Ash Wednesday with ash on their forehead. Yeah, it's a cultural thing, and I know it's going to come up, but how do you teach it, or do you just experience?
I think when it comes to actually teaching it, you don't. So religion is not the actual religion that is taught, but it's the. I'm going to give you an example of the day at school. So we start with morning meeting. Does anybody have anything they would like to pray for? Oh, I want to pray for my cat so it can come back. For snack time, they'll pray for their food. Let's say a child is having a problem and they go to the calm down area, or they just can't express their feelings. I think it's really cool that, you talk to them. They don't want to talk. They don't want to, they just want to kind of isolate themselves, and you tell them, it's okay. I see that you don't want to talk to me right now. Do you want to talk to Jesus and tell him what's going on right now? Because he can hear you. He can hear you if you talk to him. He can hear you if you think about it. He knows your heart. And just having that as a child, thinking, okay, so I don't really have to talk to you. I don't want you, but I can go to the calm down area and just look at some books. It could be some Bible stories, or it could be books talking about how to express your feelings. Just having that, I think it's pretty cool, because I don't think in public school you would be able to say, okay, well, God knows what's in your heart. It would be more of a, don't teach my child religion. And I don't see anything wrong with it, because it wouldn't matter what religion you are. Telling a child that it's okay, if you don't want to talk to me right now, you can, whatever you're thinking, whatever you're feeling, just the simple thought of, you don't have to talk to me, but there's somebody that knows what's wrong with you, and it's okay. And when you feel comfortable, you can come talk to teacher, or you can join the group when you feel better, because sometimes they don't even know what's wrong with them. And just those words, I've seen kids just be like, okay.
It's the social emotional learning portion, and I went to Catholic school my whole life, like growing up, and we had specific times for religion class. I really enjoyed it. It was that time that we could talk about our feelings, as you're explaining. It was that reflection time, and it was very spiritual, right? But that doesn't happen, if you go to public school. So it's really interesting. So our task is to understand how we would incorporate religion in a public school without getting in trouble.
Yeah, and not all religions even believe in God. I know you want to say that, well, you can say God is see whatever, Jesus, but not all religions believe in that. I support a child in Bangladesh. I pay for him to go to school, and I'm not allowed, when I write to him, I'm not allowed, number one, to send pictures because he lives in a different social economic situation. But I also have to be careful what I say when I write to him, because it's a closed country. I could get arrested for talking about God or Jesus in a letter to Bangladesh. So
And
I don't know, just those things shape my approach in a public setting. I am super sensitive and want to be so respectful of families and their religion. And so I am so curious what
I feel that comes down to you actually getting to know your children and their families. That's something you do at the beginning of the year versus gradually doing it throughout the year. Like, for example, my topic is diversity. And my whole thing about diversity, like that's my thing. I've always wanted to start the school year with a cultural fair, like a diversity fair where families are invited to come in and then to discuss like the different, like they can bring in something that's very important to them and their family, and it's better to learn from them than me doing research to learn to teach the students. So not only would all the families teach me one, like something about them, something about their country, something like just them. And my whole thing, it's funny because I tell everyone this throughout my teaching years, I want to put together a calendar of all the important holidays that I've learned with my past students, so I can teach my future students. So that way I know, okay, this little boy and his family don't believe in God, so try to stay away and try to include more like during Christmas time, including not just God and Christmas and stuff like that, but more diversity into the classroom, because I'll know this person, his family believes in this, and this people, this student and the other come from a different country. And just knowing and getting to know your classroom plays a big role in how you can navigate, I guess, religion and holidays in your classroom. But that's my thing. I've always wanted to do like a cultural diversity fair where parents come in and they explain their beliefs or their country, and I just feel like that's a learning experience that you're never going to get off the internet.
That needs to be on our teacher form that we give to families, where we ask, what holidays do you celebrate? What's important? Things like that would be really important information to gather so you can plan ahead. Especially like the Chinese New Year, it's based on the moon. It changes every year.
Okay, guys, does anybody have any more thoughts or comments before we move on? I know it took more than 5 minutes.
Did we hear from Jessica?
Well, I was gonna go back to saying that, Angela, I had the same experience in my public schools, that they didn't really they didn't really make it as hard. They just explained different types of religions. They didn't really go as like, oh, you're a child of God. They didn't, you don't put your opinions or your beliefs on the children. You just explain the facts of what religion, for example, Christianity, right? Or I can just speak for like Catholic. So Catholics, believe in saints, that kind of thing. Just very simple. And you don't have to go so deep into it or make it seem like putting your beliefs in there, like, oh, I believe, like, okay, there's only one God. Why is there so many saints? And you don't say that. You just state the facts, and then you just make it very simple. That's how my experience was at the public school. They just did that. They just presented what is religion, and that there's different types of religion, and what kind of like a summary of what it is, and then a kind of like the images that they each believe in. Very simple. That's how I would do it too, because I, like Rachel, I don't want to make it that I don't want to state something that maybe they're gonna go home and then they're gonna mention it, and then they say that it's from the teacher. And I rather them hear it from the kids and learn with each other, and learn from each other. I don't want to put myself in that situation where I state what my belief and my opinions are. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good way to go about it. That's why when my daughter was talking about God, she wasn't saying anything that was like, I would believe that they were pushing their beliefs onto her. It was more like facts. She's like, yeah, God is in heaven. He's up above us. He's watching over us. We are his children, like just facts. Like every religion, we are the children of, well, not every religion, but like Christian and Catholic, it's we are the children of God.
And that's the thing. I didn't hear that from school myself, that there would be the topic that there's science and then there's God. So I remember the teachers just presenting, there's people who believe there's a God, and there's people who believe in science. And then so it's kind of like that, not like that there's people who believe different things, and that it's okay. It's okay to believe in something. It's okay if you don't believe in nothing. It's okay. Kind of thing. That's how they approach it. I don't know how to explain it more than that, but I just remember that the experience at the public schools that I went to were positive in the religion thing. They were not really pushing Christian or Catholic. They were really just kind of like they left that at home.
What age do you recall experiencing that? How old were you when these conversations were happening?
Elementary, actually.
Yeah. I was homeschooled, and my daughter goes to a private Christian school, right? So yes, there's Bible and prayer and all of that, but I want to teach in a public school, and I don't know what that looks like. I want to hear.
Yeah, and it was just very simple. And then when I went to middle school, then you get your actual social studies with an actual social studies teacher that's just focused on social studies. So they would just dive a little more into like the history of the religion. So that's for like the older, right? The older kids that dive into textbooks. You're diving into like the period of time that this religion came about, and the people that were involved, and that kind of thing, and how it became to a belief, or how it became to a religion. It was just like this. Here you have this. What is it that your opinions are on, and then that's it. And then that's how we kind of, and then just I don't know. My experience was very positive in the religion type because it wasn't very pushy. It was just there. I don't know,
Right. Let's keep going. So we have time for everything.
Yeah. Okay. So then a lesson on kindness would be the kids having a monthly journal where they're able to talk about, things that they're doing at home, things that they're doing at school, around their neighborhood. So this would be like a kindness project. So these would be some ideas, and they would be able to, cut the little pictures, stick it on their journal, and then talk about what they have learned regarding kindness. We also have, the Bible also teaches lessons on forgiveness. And due to the time now, I wanted to show you guys some Grace links and some YouTubes, but I'll just give you kind of like a rundown. So there's a Bible story that is called 70 times 7, which, kids sometimes will say, well, how many times do I have to forgive? And it's like, okay, well, things happen. If your friend does something, you need to be able to go and talk to your friend. Well, friend, I don't like it when you do this. It hurts me. So as teachers in the classroom, we have different books about forgiveness. So we just read about that. So the curriculum is not just focused on, okay, Bible, 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 God, God, God. We have different books that talk about forgiveness, kindness, but I think it's really cool that you get to share the Bible, because you wouldn't get to share stories like that from the Bible if you were in public school. And then forgiveness, you can also do a lesson, a science lesson on forgiveness. And the YouTube video that I was going to show you was, okay, so it's a bottle, and then you're just putting different liquids in this bottle, and you're just building up, right? Your anger is building up. So when you give it to God, to Jesus, you put a little straw in there, and then you blow up a balloon, put the balloon on top, and then as the air is going down, it's spitting it out. So whatever anger you felt and you gave it away, then you feel better not having to hold on to that. So that's another way that religion, you can do lessons for science as well. And I'm not saying strictly focus on religion. There's other curriculum, but being open to that taboo, where if there's a classroom pet that dies, and well, where is he going? Well, and somebody says, well, he's in heaven now, or he's in hamster heaven or something. And you just let the kids go with it and just have that conversation, and that's not stopping them from going there. Staying with your composure and just letting them have that discussion. And this, oh no. Can you guys see that? Okay, perfect. Because
Not yet.
I don't want you to see that. I just want to stick with time. So this lesson would be a forgiveness. So forgiveness starts with Jesus, because Jesus forgave all his people that did him wrong. And instead of him being angry or, not being kind, where in scripture we can find that sort of stuff. So they do learn memory verses. So this would be part of that lesson plan. And I attached it to another page. And how can Christian education help children grow? And I think I touched on this at the beginning, that they're able to talk to Jesus if they have a problem, learn from Bible stories. They also have smaller ratios when you do go to a private school, and individualized attention and all that good stuff. I wish I would have incorporated some standards in there, Rachel. And this is, like, for example, this would be one of the books that we would have in class. So like Noah's Ark. And then since it is kindergarten, it would be like a little pop-up book. So you get to read the story and you get to actually see it. So as you're reading the story and you're learning how to read, or as the teacher, you read the story to them, and then they're able to tell the stories back to their friends and all that great stuff. And this book actually has like the story of Esther, baby Jesus, David and Goliath, the fiery furnace, which they're all Bible stories for children with specific lessons. So Esther was a queen that was brave and stood up for her people. So that's teaching you about bravery. David and Goliath, somebody that's small can make a difference. Fiery furnace, somebody that has a belief or is able to stay with their beliefs, and God protects them. So it's just little stories that you read to the kids and they're able to, go from there, or children it's just a story. So with a Bible-based curriculum, you're able to, see some art. And then this one right here, oh, sorry. So this one right here, curriculum based around his love. So they're learning rainbow colors, and with the rainbow colors, they're also learning how to spell their name. So the letters on the bottom were just all the letters of their names, but messed up, and they were able to cut through and spell their names. So they're still learning the same curriculum as everybody else, but it's all, I guess, Bible based. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I have a suggestion. I want you to add your standards and then think about non-Bible based.
Okay.
How can you teach your lesson in a public school without teaching about Jesus? And then I want you to, our next time we meet, if you could give us a one-pager example.
Okay.
Without Jesus, because you would probably get in trouble. Yeah, but imagine if you get hired and that pops up, like the topic pops up. I know naturally you would want to talk about it. You'd probably get a phone call the same day. Yeah. From your principal. You would be home and you'd get a phone call from your principal in trouble. Mm-hmm. That you would be like, okay, what do I do now? Am I fired? You'd be like, oh my God, right? Because naturally you have that desire to talk about it. And it's okay in a way, but we don't realize how powerful our role is as people. We can literally, they believe everything we say. The kids, they love us so much. We're like mom and dad. And some families might not really like that. But when we work with, in public education with the public, we have to be neutral, I guess. Even though we do have our beliefs and we have our opinions. Another popular topic would be the president. Which candidate do you prefer? Oh my gosh, that gets you fired too. You can't tell the kids who you're gonna vote for. You tell them, you get a phone call. By dinner time, you're almost fired. That also gets you fired. So stuff like that. So just think about how would you go about that? And then we'll revisit this topic, but you did excellent.
It was such a hard topic because when I chose it, I was like, okay, I know a lot about this. But
I know.
Started doing it, it's like, oh my goodness.
You're a natural.
Do any of this in public school because it would have to just be, you teach them about kindness, respect, how to treat others, how to be a great friend. And I was raised Catholic, kind of. It was like we go to church and because we didn't. But then I met my husband, Christian based, and my children go to Christian education. And I'm like, I see that everything that they learn now, they wouldn't be able to do that in public school. Because I remember in public school, I would think to myself, well, why do those kids get to go to chapel out there and the rest of us have to come and learn about monkeys? And it was, in our science class.
Yes.
So I've had those conversations with my kids, but they're like, what are you talking about? Because they didn't learn that. Right. So, yeah.
I know, absolutely. But that was excellent. You had a great presentation put together. You're very knowledgeable about the topic. It's great, but we just have to be like focused on, you know, the whole system as a whole, and trying to incorporate the standards as well. And what is great about religion is that you were able to incorporate other social, you know, justice topics within that main topic, which is really great, like fairness and
just like everybody was saying, for Christmas, somebody brought a book in about posadas, which I remember hearing about them long time ago, but this particular student had just moved to the States. So they were like, well, we don't do Christmas like you guys. And then they're like, and then in January, we have this thing where the wise men come and give a special present. And it was like, even though I'm Hispanic, I didn't know some of these things because it's kind of like, you know, things get and we've also had children that New Year's, it's like, you know, with the dragon and being able to incorporate all that, I just feel that that's pretty cool.
yes, definitely. Yeah, all right, Jessica, go ahead and get started. Does anybody else want to say anything before we start Jessica's presentation? Does anybody want to give her feedback or suggest anything? Any praise, any comments, any suggestions? Oh, wow, that's fancy.
Okay, so ladies, I'll probably end up watching the recording. And I did have my other presentation. So how did you want me to go about that?
Would you like to record your presentation and then post?
Okay.
Like, you know, present like as if you were in class, and then we can watch the recording on YouTube.
Okay, perfect.
Would you like to do that? Like maybe Monday, whenever you have a chance, or Tuesday?
Okay, so I'll have it posted by Sunday evening.
Yeah, whenever you have a chance. I know Elizabeth couldn't be here either, and she's gonna do that for us. So then I can post, and I can do a Padlet page with those presentations, and then I'll put the recording too, so everybody can watch this recording, and then we can kind of go through it. Look at that, it's a web page. Jessica, that's fancy.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mara. Great job. Thank you so much. It was nice seeing you.
Good night, guys. Yeah, I got the hard topic. I don't know why I wrote that one.
No, that's great. No, that's excellent. We need somebody to pick that topic so we can talk about it. We need to talk about the hard stuff. Yes, thank you for picking it.
Bye, guys. Good night.
Good night. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Bye. Oh, she's awesome. Okay, Jessica, that's fancy.
I wanted to challenge myself because I don't know why I was thinking that we had to do a web page. And then I'm like, wait, I think she said PowerPoint, because I saw the video where you're explaining the thing, but I'm like, did she say PowerPoint or web page? I don't know. I thought it was web page. That's why I did a website.
I love it. Is this like one of the templates?
I was like trying to do the ones that, you know, from the ones that you link, because you had a lot of lesson plan examples. And then I'm like, how do I make one? I couldn't find it. So I Googled how to make your own website for free. And so I tried this. It's called Wix. Yeah. So this is my lesson plan.
Wow, I have 3 websites with Wix, and none of my websites look like that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, it took a long time, and I'm like, oh, well, I can't give up on it now.
Wow, you better keep up with this one. You might want to do it for your classroom. Like, wow.
I don't have a lot of information on it, but let me show you, all right?
Yeah.
So what I was thinking is that I'm gonna be doing this first. I don't know if you can see my screen. It says my family tree.
Yes.
Okay. So I would send that home first, my family tree, and then that way they can fill out this questionnaire with their parents and their family about their, the names of their grandparents, if they have any, or, whoever it might be. I would edit this just because depending on if I know that there's some who are maybe in foster care or are in adopted. So I would definitely check out with families first before doing anything, right? But if everything goes well, I would send something like this that would look kind of like this. I actually got this from Teachers Pay Teachers. And then, yeah, sort of like them filling this out, and then they're gonna come, and then, I don't know what's not popping. Oh, there you go. So they're sort of gonna put it like this on their family tree. We're gonna do that in the classroom. And then, but this one is first is going to be the family tree sheet. And then it's gonna be this book, not the filling out the tree yet. They're gonna be doing this. There you go. So I don't know if you've seen this book before. It's called Where Are You From? From, I think it was from Jaime. Oh, you got it, Rachel. You're so prepared. I really need like a book list from Rachel.
I have a pile of family tree books if you'd like books like this.
Oh my God, that's awesome. So I don't have the book physically. I do have it in my classroom, but I couldn't bring it because that was property of the classroom and they didn't let me take out anything yet. So I find it here online on YouTube. So I read aloud. I don't know if you want me to play it or, yeah. Can you hear it? No? So
It's echoing, like you can't hear it, but sounds weird.
You need to stop your share, and then when you push share again, push the little square button.
Okay, so stop share.
Sound. Yeah.
And then
share screen, but before you share it, go to the bottom and share sound.
Oh, share computer sound. Okay, thank you. Okay,
Thank you, Rachel.
Is your mom from here? Is your dad from there? They ask. I ask Abuelo because he knows everything. Unlike me, he looks like he doesn't belong. Where am I from? Abuelo thinks. His eyes squint, like he's looking inside his heart for an answer. You come from the Pampas, the open, free land, he says. You are from the Gaucho, brave and strong, from the brown river that cleanses and feeds the land that gives us the grain for our bread, the milk from our cows. You're from mountains so high they tickle Señor Cielo's belly, where the condor roosts his family and the jaguar prowls the night. But you're also from the warm blue oceans the copper warriors tried to tame, and the elegant palm trees stretch their fingers to caress. You're from hurricanes and dark storms and a tiny singing frog that calls the island people home when the sun goes to sleep. From this land, where our ancestors built a home for all, even when they were in chains, because of the color of their skin. You're from their grandmothers who search for their grandchildren, waiting, always waiting in a plaza, their white handkerchiefs wrapping the sorrow of their thoughts. You come from the sunshine that lights our path in this world and the rain that washes away our mistakes. But abuelo, I ask, where am I really from? Abuelo laughs. You want a place? He points to his heart. You are from here, from my love and the love of all those before us. From those who dreamed of you because of a song sung under the Southern Cross, or the words in a book written under the light of the North Star. You're from all of us. I am. The end. Thank you for watching, and remember, you're from here.
And so then I would prompt a question and break into groups about where do they think they're from. From what the questionnaire they sent, from what was sent home, did they have discussions with their families? Did they find out where they might be from, or just prompt a discussion of what happened? What kind of discussions did they have at home? And then after sharing first in pair groups, then they would, so I'm thinking of like they were like in four corners. They would pair, and then they would share in the groups as well, and then they would share out loud. And then, so I'll go back. So this is for first graders. So this is my website for my lesson plan, and then I have the subject and then my standards right there, and then the objectives. I don't know if you want me to just read it or just kind of go through.
Just go slow so we can read.
Oh, okay, sorry, did I go slow?
Let's see.
Okay, you want me to go back to the standards or just the objectives?
Just go back to the standards for a second. See.
Okay, so on this page, I put the grade, the subject, and the standards. So there's going to be a lot of questions, a lot of discussions, a lot about finding out, whatever the question is, where they're from, or about their heritage, more about their history, more about, okay, so who were my ancestors kind of type thing. So it's a lot about finding out information. There's going to be a lot of visuals for audio or text for the children, because we want to, I want to incorporate different types of learning, because kinesthetic or auditory or visually. And so there's a lot of different points of views, because there's going to be, everyone's different. We do not come from the same place, or for example, right? I come from Mexico. I had a different, I'm not gonna explain them, right? But like everybody is different. So, and then the objectives. So I just put a little bit of the objectives. Students will be able to dive deep into their heritage. Students will learn that everyone's heritage is not the same and that it's okay to be different. Students will understand what is heritage and how it helps us be us, or, or how did you realize, oh, something new information that you didn't know before, and how do you view it now, how you're from here, and now that you know, what are your thoughts, kind of thing. I don't know if this is too deep for first graders, but
no, if you explain it well, they'll understand. Yeah.
So yeah, and so this is just more deep, right? My heritage is more deep on your roots, coming in, making connections to that. And let me see. And so as I go down, I included some essential questions. For example, what is heritage? How do we know, how do we find out? How do you know that? How important is heritage or to you or to your family? Or did you even know about it? What is that? You know, do you talk about that? How is your heritage different from somebody else? Someone who's sitting next to you that you didn't know and now you know, and what kind of questions, you know, you might wanna, you have about what kind of questions you want to ask them, right? What you want to find out more about, kind of thing. Also include that. I feel like this would be taking I don't know how many weeks because I feel like heritage is kind of probably might be big, and then also you have traditions that kind of might be going to that, and then like artifacts. Is there something that you owe, that your family owes, right? That are from like really old, like it's been, I don't know, more than 50 years that you have that artifact, or more than that. Like how important is it to where you came from, right? Or for example, for when I came from Mexico, my parents brought some stuff from Mexico that they were really attached to, maybe like a blanket or like even a simple watch, or like those kind of lamps. I don't know. There's like this type old lamps, and it's like really old that they got from their great grandparents, things like that, and what it means to them, right? Yeah. And so things like that, and then I include some visuals because we're old. Yeah. Oh, so from this one, it kind of reminds me. I added just quick. I added this image just because, you know, you from where I come from is you have like Indian, Native American. It's not Native American because it's not in the U.S. It's Indian.
Indigenous people.
Yes. So we come from that, and so like how you would see this lady, that's how they would be dressed.
Mm-hmm.
An everyday thing. That's where I come from. So like Oaxaca, that's how would we, like the older indigenous, they would dress like that. So, and those are the, you know, the clothes that you might inherit from your grandma or from your mom, and that you keep. Yeah.
That's so nice.
Yes. And then, so, yes. And then, so this is the book that I would have. And then the family, I don't know why the activities didn't come up. That's unfortunate, but this, you know, I show you the family tree, and then my grandparents' heritage. That's about you. There's a visual for that you decorate. You have the both grandparents, and you kind of put their hair, like you decorate whatever they look like, and then you put in like how they might have dressed like.
Mm-hmm.
So this is about exactly just like the grandparents. If you, but only like you had a grandparent, like I would know this before. I wouldn't put it like they didn't know. Sometimes they might have passed away, you never met them, but from what you gather from your family, what you imagine them to look like, to have looked like, right?
Right.
If you put the cursor over it, will it let you open it?
No, but look, I right here, let me see. And I got this all from Teachers Pay Teachers, just to put that out there, right? Yeah. Let me see if can you see it that I popped something out?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this is the one for the grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
And so you see how you would write about them. And then there's, at the end, there's like a doll that you make with clothespins.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And you have information about them. So.
Super nice.
So this is more like this one's over here, but the end it would be more, the clothespins would be more hands-on because you're building it yourself. So
nice.
And you can see there's some, you know, cloths that are not really, maybe not common, maybe something that you find from a while back. But you can always make it look like, yeah. And then there's another one for the activity. So I had this other one, let me see. So that was the grandparents, and then there's the holiday traditions because everyone celebrates things differently, like we've said about Christmas, right? So on this one, okay, maybe it's popping out. Sorry, my internet's really slow.
I've been having problems with my internet too the last 2 weeks.
Ooh.
Not sure why.
Yeah, and this is also pay teachers pay teachers. They have like all these units. It's really cool. Okay. Oh wait, did I pop out the wrong one? I think I might have. Or maybe it's in this one, but I can't remember. I thought it was a separate one, but it was one that you would fill out. How do you celebrate a holiday? You wouldn't be specifically, oh, Christmas, or it could be any holiday they're gonna choose. How do they celebrate it? What do they include? I'm sorry, I don't think it's here. I should have screenshotted, but it was just like a sheet, and then they tell you. I think I thought I clicked on this one. Let me see. Maybe I clicked on the wrong one. Oh yeah, I clicked on the wrong one. Never mind. Right here. So my holiday traditions. So you will say my family celebrates whatever you might celebrate, and then what's your favorite holiday book from the one that you've chosen, and how do you decorate or do you decorate? You know, and then something that's fun that you enjoy from that holiday. And then if there's a treat, what is it? Share it with us, right? Kind of thing. There could be no, it might be that there's no treat, right? So yeah, they can just, so they can use visually, they can draw what they do or write whatever they do. It just depends on how far along they are in their writing or in, right? Yeah. So basically that's it, because then I go down and it's just a contact. I just put really like the references, teachers by teachers. It's just, yeah. So that's the website.
That is super cool. It's such a great idea to create a website for a lesson. It's all there. How long did it take you to create that website?
I'm not tech savvy, so that's why it took me actually, because so I would break it maybe into 2 hours each day. So maybe like almost 6 hours, 4 hours, because I had to search things, and then I had to like, I don't know. I don't even know how I did this. Like, I'm afraid of clicking something and erasing it, because I have no idea how I even got to this actually.
Wow. You probably were like, oh my gosh, Angela made me do a website. It was just a PowerPoint.
I really thought so. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't think it's complete. And then I saw Rachel, she did a PowerPoint. I'm like, oh man, I think Angela actually said, explain it, that it could be anything. And I'm like thinking it's a website.
Oh, but that was awesome. You learned now. You taught everybody how it's done.
Yeah, go to Wix.
Yes. Wow. What are some of your thoughts, Rachel and Teresa? What do you think?
I think it's great. Yeah. I always love starting the year off, letting the kids talk about their family structure. Yeah. Who they live with is really important, who they interact with. So maybe they don't live with their grandparents, they live with their parents, but they spend a lot of time with their grandparents. So beginning of the year is a great time. Just get to know who are all the important people in their lives. Yeah. And then, yeah, definitely moving on to learning about their traditions and noticing similarities and differences amongst us all.
What about you, Teresa, if you're still there?
I'm still here. It was very engaging. It brings me back to my senior project. I did a family tree all about me booklet for kindergartners, and it just reminded me of looking back at my own, because I did it when I was younger. I had the senior classes. I had the senior class come into my kindergarten class, and so I was like, oh my God, that, like, now that I'm older and I look back on it, I'm like, that's such a cool idea. And it was mostly about our heritage and what our family and what we like and what we do as a family. Like, I can see using that and making a all about me book.
Yeah.
Making assignments that mean something to me, they stick. It sticks better.
Right. Well, I think that this lesson is very appropriate for the age group. I think it's going to be engaging, and it's going to be something they will remember forever. I used to have my students bring a picture from home, or have the parents send me a copy electronically, and I would print it for them. And then I would make, a huge bulletin board with everybody's photos, and then they would talk about their families, and you would have like a better visual of what the family was, all about. They usually had something to bring, and if they didn't, they could draw, illustrate, somehow. But most of the time, they would figure it out, even if it was a very old photo or something like that. But it's just so great to connect and have the parents, feel like they're participating, and they have to bring something to school. And you can also, bring those, objects to school. And of course, they want to share and show things. Show and tell is always a good time. Anything heritage. And then, of course, creating their own, the grandparents, like the doll is like genius. Super cool. Super cool. I love it.
Sometimes it's great even to have the parent or family member come. Kids love that. I had a Chinese mom come and share about Chinese New Year. And so that was exciting. I go, you know more about it than me. I feel like it'd be disrespectful for me to talk about it. But she came and we record ourselves saying the phrase that they say. And so
amazing.
Lots of fun things you can do with heritage.
So fun. Yes, I love that. Thank you so much, Jessica, for sharing that with us. That was really good. Now, we need a break before we start our next? Yes, a little break. How many minutes would you like?
Just long enough for some water for me, but I don't know about
water. I've been eating my chocolate here, just like great. I didn't eat all day, so I'm like, I ate my dinner and ate my chocolate. Can't stop eating. I'm like starved all day. And I apologize. I've been sitting like that because I had surgery, so I'm just trying to stretch here. So I'm like, feeling good now. Something along the lines of like different strategies that you can use in the classroom for mathematics, for literacy, things you can do to support students that are either with difficulties or students that are above level. So we'll see what she's gonna come up with. And then depending on what she brings, if she doesn't touch on a few points, then I'll bring different things next time to supplement that. We'll see what she's gonna present on. And then the second person, topic 2, is Rachel, building on students' needs, right? And then we have Elizabeth. Elizabeth's gonna be recording as well. She had something come up. She had messaged me about, it's actually her sister. She's gonna present a recording as well, and I'll be sending it to you all as soon as I have it. But I have Rachel here. So is that okay, Rachel? Would you like to? Yes.
Yeah.
Let's.
I needed to get these out of the way now because the rest of my month is super busy. So
you're like, that's it. I'll just get it done. Yes.
I was kind of sad I wasn't the first one on both of them. I got to it too late. Usually I'm the one that wants to hurry up and get it out of the way.
Yeah. No, I have family visiting from far away and I just want to be focused on that and my business, end of year stuff. And yeah, so.
Yes. Did you decide on keeping the your preschool open or closing it? What did you decide?
No, so my licensure is going to, she says I can, I'm just in the fall, need to let her know that I'm taking 6 months off and I don't have to have any reason or anything. I'm allowed to just be closed for 6 months and my license will stay open. So I'm curious if I can get all my, hours done and go back to that, I don't know. But anyways, I have that time to not lose my license. And if I choose to go back,
I
I'll just
remember
start all over.
That's awesome.
I remember Jacob saying that we could finish sooner as long as we saved enough for spring. So we still had to be registered and I guess have a certain amount or some hours roll over into spring and then we could be done early.
I could start
So
full
that's
time
something.
and then end with just doing 1 day a week, which would be great.
Yeah. I asked.
So I went ahead to supplement my income. I went ahead and talked to the hospital about, instead of just per diem, which is what I do for them now, here and there, working a little bit at the hospital helps me afford to run my preschool because it's a very expensive hobby of mine. But I just asked them, you know what, I'm going to be student teaching. I can help you out even more. So they actually put me down for a regular 7 on, 7 off hours in the evenings at night. So
yeah, what do you do there at the hospital?
I'm a lab assistant, phlebotomist, MA, but I work the laboratory and I can work them all. I'm a quick learner, so I can not work for 10 years. Last time when I was home with the kids, I didn't work for 10 years. I took a break from Prosser Hospital from 2005 until 2016. But yeah, I was like, no, it's like riding a bike.
Never forget.
The great thing about a laboratory is everything is in writing. There's a procedure for every single thing, everything you do on a computer to every procedure you perform. So if I haven't done lead testing in a long time, I just say, oh, you're a patient. We call you patient because you have to be patient. I'll call you in a minute. And then I read up and I run control so I can practice. And then I bring in the patient and act like I just did this yesterday. I've been doing this forever. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Actually, I just reread up on this.
Yeah, and you do it again and it's good to go.
But you never need to know that. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so no, it's like my adult time. I tell people are always like, why are you so happy to be here? I go, well, number one, I don't work very much. And number two, this is my adult time. I got out of the house today.
Yeah, definitely. That's wonderful.
The night shift is kind of exciting because although I don't get to have outpatient interaction, which I absolutely love, connecting and seeing people, I do get the excitement of the ER, which can be, pretty thrilling.
Yeah, like a lot going on and movement and it's thrilling.
I love to see people and the hospital's a place to run into people.
Yeah. Wow, a little bit of blood.
It's kind of funny. I tell the lab manager all the time, I go, I feel horrible that I'm pulled in two opposite directions. I love teaching and I love the laboratory. Mm-hmm. How is it I can love both? And she's like, I'll work with it. She's like, whatever she has to do to not lose me, she's happy to support my teaching and will take from me what I can give her. So she's wonderful.
What those two professions have in common is that they both have to do with caring.
It does, yes. And I get to do some teaching because when we have students come through from the college doing phlebotomy school, I get called up to do a week with them when everybody else has had a turn because I get to bring with them, my way of imparting my years of knowledge. So I've been a phlebotomist since 2000. So I know a little bit about it. Yeah. Not much has changed. I mean, a long time ago, our tubes were glass. If you dropped them, they'd break, but now they're plastic, but not much else has changed. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Anyways, it will be helping me afford to student teach. So I'm so grateful it's all come together and I just can't wait to get started.
Yeah. Wow. That's wonderful. One more quarter, huh? This quarter? And then you're going to be in the fall.
Summer, I have to take the second math class. I'm only in the 171.
Oh,
So summer,
you got this.
but it'll be
I'm
fine.
excited for you, for all of you.
It's going to be
Yeah,
quite the
did you all get your paperwork with Jacob filled out and everything good?
I haven't filled out any paperwork.
Like the ESD stuff,
Yes.
that thing they
It's
need.
the application for, or the certification for student teaching,
Yeah.
where they need the fingerprints and everything.
Oh, I should do that then. Okay. Is
It's
I saw that it
just
was ESD, which I have been fingerprinted by ESD because I'm a sub for ECAP.
I think you got it then.
So I'm not sure if I need to do it again. I also have
It's
fingerprints.
only valid for 2 years. So if you got it 2 years ago, before 2 years ago, then you're good, but it's only valid for 2 years. I know this because
Well, every
Elizabeth,
2 years, yeah. Every 2 years I do it. So
yeah.
Just
had to-
email him, Rachel. Make sure that you're good to go for your placement in student teaching. I think you should be good. Jessica did it. You emailed him and you figured it out.
I have no idea because we did some exchanges because I was kind of confused. So he was helping me out. But on the last one, he messaged me about that he was going to approve something and then that he couldn't find my fingerprinting. And then I asked him if merit works because I have my merit. And then he asked me if I was already due. And then I was like, yes, but I renew it. And then I gave him the screenshot of the, you know what I'm talking about. And so I was like, is he looking for that? I was confused. And then he never messaged me back. So I was like, I'm not sure.
So email him again, follow up with him, the same email, find the last one. Say, hi, Jacob, just following up on this email.
Yeah.
Am I okay with this? Like, am I all done? Because you want to make sure you were placed.
Yes.
I mean, it's like kind of like the end of the, it was end of the last quarter, beginning of this quarter. Oh no, actually it was beginning of this quarter. Because there's so much going on. Like we're running 2 grants and he has to meet with everybody. He meets with like the instructors, all the professors. He's finishing he's running the EdTP for the other cohort and starting you guys. He probably just forgot.
okay.
I think.
Yeah.
I would just follow up with him.
Yeah,
Well, probably he forgot.
I had emailed him twice actually, and he was supposed to let me know. But my mentor, the one that I want to do my student teaching with, she went about her bachelor's weird. She taught in Japan.
Oh.
And so here she taught on a certificate the first 3 years, but this is her 5th year teaching. So I asked him about it and he's like, if she was the actual supervisor for 5 years of her own class, then there shouldn't be a problem, but we're supposed to have a meeting and I'll let you know. I emailed him twice since then and I haven't heard back from him. So I'm assuming I'm good to go.
Well, you know, what day of the week are you emailing him? I would do like Monday morning or like Sunday at the last thing of the day. So it's the first thing he sees in the morning, just in case it doesn't get lost. Like if let's say you email him on a Friday night and then like it just stays there. Or if it's like, sometimes I think about that when people have a hard time replying. What time am I emailing them? Because sometimes it gets just lost in between, like just a bunch of other emails. Yeah, maybe Monday morning would be a good time to have that email there. CC me on every email, because then I have the excuse to like chime in the middle of the week.
Now that I know that, I'm gonna be
thank you for writing this email. That's amazing. How's this going? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just kind of like randomly, if I don't hear back like in a couple of days, I wait and then I can like write. Oh, that's amazing, Jessica. Great. Let's just do it. Just because like that helps the other person go, that bumps the email back to the top of the list is why. Not because the person doesn't want to reply, it's just because there's just so many other things. And sometimes it happens that the person doesn't know the answer. to the question. Like there was like, remember you, I think it was Rachel, like you were trying to do your West B or West B's.
B.
And we didn't have, CBC wasn't on a list.
Yeah.
Have you done that
They're
yet, Rachel?
there.
I finally got registered in July. I have an appointment. I have paid for it. I have an appointment. Yes.
Could you
Yes.
post
So,
the link?
It's a
Angela,
big
could you
deal.
post the link?
What is it?
Could you post a link on where to do it? Because I know that's the only thing I need, but
Yes,
I was
please.
having
Me
trouble
too.
with it too.
Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. Let's see if I can find the link to the West. I was already on Amazon. I put all the books you all presented on my cart. I'm getting my daughter all the books that you have told me. Oh, West B, Pasco, Washington. Let's see. That you have suggested in your lessons today, I have put in my cart. I have 20,000 things in my cart, but I will buy that. Let's see, Pasco, West B, Pasco, Washington, Tri-Cities. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. That's the other one right here. There you go. Watch indicator skills test. Let's see. Log in now. I think it's this website. I'll put it in the chat. Perfect. I think it's this site. Then you have to go like, let's see, register. And then you have to create an account. You have to go here. Oh my gosh, I do not miss this. It has not changed in 11 years. It's the same color and the same portal, the same everything. Gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like, I had to take this too.
yeah.
I know.
It gathers, there's like 7 steps, and it shows you where you're at along the way. Personal information, information about your schooling.
And then where you want them to send the reports. Always send it to your home, to your email. You always want it sent to your college if possible. In this case, like now CBC is there. So yeah, I'll put this one too in the chat.
You do have to pay for it at the time of registration.
It's $300. No, 75 each part.
Well, you save a little bit of money by paying for all 3 at once and not taking them individually.
Yes. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see, register. Yeah, I don't remember how much it costs, but let's see, tests.
So I registered for West B, reading, math, writing. And it was, my receipt said
here.
So am I getting all of them? Reading, writing, and math, those were the only ones to choose from. It was $96.
Okay, yeah. You can locate it.
And do we have to take all of those?
You can take them all in
I'll be
one
taking
day.
all 3 at once. I'll be there all day. Yes, I will be there all day.
If you're a good test taker, go for it. If you get too nervous, do one at a time. Here, please.
And is this the one that it doesn't matter what we get, is just as long as we take it? I remember there was one that they changed the criteria to.
No, you gotta pass. Yeah, the fees are here, $32.
So it says the test is 315 minutes long. So it's 5 hours and 15 minutes. You have to complete it in 5 hours and 15 minutes. Yeah. So I scheduled mine for right after lunch so that I would eat lunch, start the test, and then be done before dinner. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to pick the 10 o'clock and then be there through lunch and not eat lunch till 2. I can't do that.
I'm glad you said something because I would have done it in the morning to get it out of the way, and then I wouldn't do very good because I'd be thinking about food. So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Didn't they have
Yeah.
earlier?
Yeah. They do have, they have earlier, but nothing super early to where you could start it right after breakfast. I mean, I eat breakfast at 5 in the morning every day. I'm hungry by 11.
Right.
So it's no big deal for me to eat lunch at 11, start the test at 11:30, and I'll still be able to have dinner at 6.
Yeah. Right. Well, when I did mine, I went to Walla Walla because that was the closest place to go, and it was, I think, 8 a.m. I prefer to go in the morning because I'm sharper. I do well in the morning. I wake up and I'm like, go. And so when I finished, I had to do the writing twice because I didn't have enough time. I was missing one little paragraph, like when they took it out of my hands. So I had to do it again, the last portion. It was like, oh my gosh, it was like this much left, like 3 sentences. It was almost complete. I was like, okay. So I had to write about something different the other time. It was a different prompt, but it's okay. So I redid the writing again. Jessica, let's see, you're freezing? No, I think you're freezing.
Yeah, I think you're freezing.
Poor thing. Your computer is tired. We're all tired. Let's see what Rachel's gonna present to us. And if you have more questions about the NESs and then the Wests, we could do a day just to talk about those tests, and we could just do even prep work if you wanted to. We could go over questions. We could do that.
When I was supposed to buy the West E cards, I accidentally bought West B, so we can use my cards.
Now you can use your cards.
Practice. And I'll be going to charter college, so I have to have time to get from here to Pasco. So there weren't very many places that were open.
Definitely.
Yeah. Let's share my PowerPoint. Well, first of all, let me close a few things I don't need open so I don't get mixed up with my other presentation.
Let me get my blanket right here.
Okay. I am ready to share slideshow from the beginning. Okay, so I just chose what was next on the list that was available, which is building on students' needs. I wasn't exactly sure what that meant, building and picturing an action, right? And
I hope my video helped.
Yes, I listened to it. I thought, okay, so I think maybe what we're talking about is the fact, I mean, the class is called Adaptions and Modifications. The book is called Differentiating Instruction and Assessment. So I'm like, I'm just going to try to see how in my brain I can weave all this together. So I just thought, first of all, students have a variety of needs that we as teachers must build on. That's why we differentiate instruction and assessment.
Yes.
So here's a little visual of why. Well, there's different needs, there's different educational backgrounds, different attention spans and interests and language and culture. So these are things we've heard a million times. So part of me was like, it's all just coming together, right? Everything we've been learning comes up again. So if everyone's up for it, there's not very many of us left, but I put together a Padlet again, where we can start out with, let's see, I need to copy and paste it again. copy. And I lost my little box here. There it is. Chat. And paste. There we go. There's the Padlet. You guys can join me there. Jessica's coming back. I label each box with everyone's name, or you can just put in what's one thing that you know students need in order to learn. If you find your name, you should be able to comment under there. Just ignore the boxes that say building on needs. Just find the box with your name on it.
All right.
Teresa says, basic necessities. In a safe environment.
I'm sorry, Rachel, I just logged in back again. I don't have the link. Did you?
Oh, under chats, let me post it again under chats.
Yes, please. Thank you.
No, thank you for letting me know. There you go. Structure. Okay. All right. I'm going to go back to there we go. Thanks for sharing. Oops. And let's, oh, where'd my PowerPoint go? There we go. Can you guys see my PowerPoint again? Right there?
No.
No.
I don't see it.
Okay. Let me exit out of it and try again. Let's share. Okay, from here, if I pulled this up during my PowerPoint, I think if I close it, no, does my PowerPoint come back? No.
No.
No. Okay.
See, maybe just share again. See.
I think I'll have to open it back up. I must have closed it somehow. Okay.
I've done that several times. Many screens and we get confused after a while.
Oh, okay. I had that share and I went and pulled it up and there we go.
There you go. Yes.
I see what I did.
It's a beautiful cover too. I like it.
There we go. Okay. Here we are. All right. Thanks for sharing. Now let's talk about what does learning look like? There are many learning theories. Here's a poster that says these are 6 education theorists that all teachers should know about. So we're just going to quickly run through them. This is Vygotsky's Zone of Proximal Development, ZPD for short. It's the range of skills that are a little bit more difficult than what a student can do independently. So underneath the child, you see a box that says these are tasks the child can completely do independently, doesn't need any support. In the middle, these are tasks that students can do with help. That's the zone of proximal development. And past that line are things the children are not ready for. That child cannot perform that even with assistance. They're not ready for that. So we want to work within that zone of proximal development. We want to be giving them things that they, with help, can do. So we are to scaffold, provide the support that is needed. Here's some more about that. Ways to do this would be things like when you are working with a small group, don't pick books that the kids can read perfectly. Pick ones that are just a little bit challenging. The students will need some support to read. Eventually, a student's ZPD bumps up higher because they have mastered the skills you were supporting them with. The term scaffolding is not a term that Vygotsky used, but it's a concept that developed based on his work. When you scaffold a student, you give them the support to complete a task that they can't quite do on their own. For example, at first, students need to be walked through every step of division. Gradually, the scaffolding can be reduced. Maybe they just need a couple of reminders at tricky spots. Eventually, you remove the scaffolding because they've completed it. The next one is Piaget. He believed that kids learn by manipulating, modifying, and otherwise working with concepts. They construct their own learning rather than just being told something. Piaget worked with the idea that the things people know are organized into, I hope I say this right, schemas? I'm assuming if you put an E there, it'd just be scheme.
Yeah.
So schema.
Yes.
There I am trying to take prior knowledge, right, and apply it here.
Yes, you're doing exactly that.
Yeah, that's what I did. When a child learns something new, they either assimilate it into an existing schema or change their schema or develop a new schema. When you activate background knowledge before lesson, you are helping students tap into their existing schema. So here's a little image just showing how, schema is the things that students already know, and students connect their new knowledge to existing schema. So here's a child who knows this is a doggy, but when it says a cat, it says doggy. It's thinking, it reminds me of a doggy, and then learning that there's a difference. But we all do that. We all come in with our prior knowledge, and we either add to it or change it. And he's responsible for constructivism. Students learn by doing rather than just being told. B.F. Skinner, he introduced behaviorism. It's the idea that praise and rewards positively reinforce the behavior and encourage kids to continue with it. This is I kind of remember hearing about him in our child development class, and there was a lot of controversy behind it. So I'm not sure why he's on this list of the 6 theorists every teacher should know, but I guess from it, we can take that, we should be offering positive reinforcement. But I'm not going to go too far into what he believed. If you want to research it, you can. There's Jerome Bruner. He believes that, elementary students, well, they can't design roads and bridges, but they can begin to learn about the physics of how the slope of a ramp affects the speed of a ball rolling down the ramp. He's responsible for spiral curriculum. Each year, you should be revisiting and building on the previous learning. So here's an image of spiral curriculum, right? Children can tackle challenging topics in age-appropriate ways. These topics can be revisited and expanded year after year. They shouldn't just learn about it at this age and then they never hear about it ever again. They learn age appropriately, some learning, and then they build on that, and build on that, and build on that, and expand it and continue. So we find that important.
Yeah.
Benjamin Bloom. Bloom's taxonomy is a hierarchy of intellectual behaviors. The lowest level is remembering facts. The highest level is your knowledge to create something new. You've learned so much that now you can contribute to creating something new with all this knowledge. To increase rigor for students, we as teachers should involve students in higher order thinking activities at the top of Bloom's taxonomy, not just in memorizing facts. So here's an image of that, right? At the bottom, remembering, remember. But then what can we do with that? It should become more and more complex. Understanding what we've learned, applying it, analyzing it, evaluating it, and ultimately the capacity to create something no one has ever done because you really know this. Howard Gardner found that people have more than one way of processing information and that a typical IQ score doesn't completely measure intelligence. He created the theory of multiple intelligences. In the classroom, we can engage multiple intelligences by singing educational songs, allowing students to work through concepts verbally, through art, through writing with partners, and through movement. Here's an image of multiple intelligences. Humans have several ways of processing information. So as teachers, we need to incorporate that. And there's one that wasn't on that list, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There's also some pros and cons to that. You can research that, what people say positively, negatively about Maslow's hierarchy, but I personally value the fact that it can be hard to learn if you're hungry, right? Or if you don't feel loved or accepted. So I felt like adding this in here. So summarizing all of these learning theories, we had challenge students while providing the appropriate scaffolds, right? Level of support, learn by doing, activate prior knowledge, reward positive behaviors, build on previous learning, use higher order thinking activities, such as, try not to limit the whole memorization activities. We need higher order thinking, provide activities that represent all the multiple intelligences to build on their strengths and meet the emotional and physical needs of our students. So what does differentiating instruction look like? I love this right here, the 3 principles. This kind of just incorporates everything we've been learning. 1, instruction must focus on essential principles and skills. So teachers must be able to identify the educational goal and the outcome. And when we're making these adaptations and modifications, we're creating instructional goals and outcomes also, right? When we talk about ELL, if we're teaching language, we're also going to plan the goal and outcome for that. There's going to be standards for everything. A goal, step 1, what is the goal? Where are we headed with this? What do the levels look like? 2, teachers recognize and attend to the differences in their students. So that's what we're talking about right there. Their needs, they're all different. They all have differences in all these different areas. We have to recognize that. And then attempt to utilize and we are to not utilize a one size fits all. So that's where we're making our changes, right? What do we want to achieve? What are our goals or our outcomes? Where do they need to go? What are the differences? And then 3, our assessments and instruction, they go hand in hand, and teachers must pre-assess to understand students' starting points and continue with ongoing assessments and making adjustments as needed. So there you have it. That's really what it is, right? Really quickly, as we make plans to differentiate instruction and assessment, there are 2 types of adaptations to consider: accommodations and modifications. This is just talking about how the difference between using a strategy that you still are using pretty much the same curriculum, but you're just making a few accommodations. That learning outcome's still the same, but modifications, it seems like you're doing a lot more changing, that they perhaps the product, they're being allowed to provide a different product or something like that. So I'm sure someone's going to teach us some more about those 2 things. But I do recognize that that is part of differentiating. Also, I think, here we are talking about as teachers, what are we supposed to be doing to help the students? But we also should be helping the students too, teaching them diversity and inclusion so that they understand why someone's receiving services. Like I said, fairness, right? I just did a presentation on fairness. So these are books I own and love. All these books are awesome. There's Only One You, The Invisible Boy, All Are Welcome. This is all about how different we are and how we should be included at school. Then of course, teach about differences, similarities, culture. Another great book, My Name is Yoon. This girl trying to understand that her name is different in English than it is in her own language, and embracing going to an English school without losing her culture, and how her classmates in our school, we should be supporting that, right? And teaching all these kids are different. We are all different. That's what we're doing, is we're looking for the different needs kids have, but we want them to also see it within themselves and amongst themselves, how we are the same and different. And then teaching equity and social justice. So there are those books. Also another great, I love that poster, fair is not always equal. Teaching is a lot like doctoring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you go to the doctor and everyone has a different need, but you all get the same medicine, that's only helping one person. Yeah.
Right. I like how you said that.
Yeah.
It's not one size fits all.
No, it's not. And that's our differentiating shouldn't be that way either. Yeah. So if we go back to the Padlet, we can comment on, so, after hearing me talk about the ways we learn and the fact that, and you already know students have needs, and you've already commented on what some of those needs might be. Now's a great time to go back and maybe on a classmate's comment, add an idea of what you think would be a good support for that. You guys up for that? Do you still have the link, or do I need to repost it?
Oh, I do.
You still have the link. And lastly, a resource I used was Learning Infographics, is where I got the 6 education theorists, and a lot of the information that I posted was from their website. They had a lot of awesome links too. There was a lot when you research learning theories, because you mentioned that in your presentation, learning theories.
Mm-hmm.
The ones I talked about right now were just the basic, everybody's heard about.
Most important.
It goes deeper and deeper, and I thought, I am not prepared to become a psychologist today.
No, let's just talk about the ones that kind of are more tailored to what we're doing.
Yeah, it was intriguing and I find it interesting, but I just went, I have 4 hours to make this presentation. I cannot go that in depth, but some other time I'll revisit some of this interesting stuff. But if you were to go to that website and want to know more, I recommend it, and it has wonderful links.
Absolutely. I like how you talked about, like, safety, hunger. Can you go back to that slide? That was awesome. I think it was 4, it was a pyramid.
I think it's the Maslow's hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me go to.
I liked how you brought that up.
Okay, I'm gonna have to.
Oftentimes, people don't understand that that's a thing. That you first start with, the basic needs of students, especially in a context of poverty or a context of, students that come from different, like, cultural backgrounds and, socioeconomical disparities. It's just not easy for people to understand that. Yeah, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yes.
So this one's adapted for schools. There's another one that's just in general, but businesses use it. Everyone just really talks about how, there's lots of ways you interpret his theory, but kids have to be ready to learn, and that requires a lot, just physically, emotionally. And that's why we should teach social studies.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have met a lot of teachers that don't want to teach social studies or science they only want to teach literacy, but those topics are so important. They only want to teach math and literacy. Like those are the only two things they teach literally all day.
Yeah.
But if you don't teach about the topics that matter to growing up to be a citizen and a person for a society, like what are you doing? Like,
right. Social studies are not just for the special needs. I think every student benefits from it. And I love having finally someone telling me about social stories and how those are great ways. Books about something happening that relates to your child. Why wouldn't they want to learn about that?
exactly.
Yeah, it's happened or it's going to happen.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, this was the Padlet was just my interactive portion. You wanted it to be interactive, which obviously would be more fun with a bigger group. But thank you guys for participating.
Yeah. Definitely. I'm just
Is it working?
yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see.
You did an awesome job, Rachel.
I know.
How you work that's on the Ferris. I remember learning that in psychology, and then I remember it being brought up again in early childhood development, because one thing that I always remember about Caroline is that she says focus on the child as a whole and not just academically. And that's why I remember the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because taking that into consideration is looking at the child as a whole and not just as a paycheck, pretty much.
Yes, no, absolutely. I love how you had a little bit about, the theorists, and you explained, you gave us a little bit of background, and you talked about the difference between modifications and adaptations, and it just gave them a little bit of like the idea, okay, you can modify, you can adapt, like accommodations are a little bit different than modifying that thing, the whole like activity, the whole learning experience completely. And it's just like giving them just a little bit of like that idea of what we're going to explore later. And it's nice because some students might need just a tiny bit of like help, but some students might need a completely different learning task,
right.
completely different experience.
There's a difference between having a para sit down and interpret. They're still doing the same assignment. They just need that little extra help with someone to ask their questions in their home language. You're not changing anything about the lesson. That child's still doing the same work, but they are getting some help. So that book just from earlier, that whole "that's not fair," just helping that child understand that the person who's drawing a picture instead of writing, it's still doing the same work, but I don't know. I mean, what do you call that? Is that an adaptation or a modification? They're still talking about the same curriculum, but turning in a picture versus words because you're able to write and that child's not. Or someone's on a computer and you're using pen and paper because that child needs the computer. But, I need to know more about why. What are my options? What are some, I'm looking forward to learning. Is that one of the topics next time?
Not of anybody presenting, but yes, mine. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Awesome. I look
but
forward
it can be, okay, let me look at the list again. Let me see who could possibly add to that. Let me look at the list to see. Elizabeth could possibly talk about key curriculum elements to be modified. She could. Let's see. No. Maybe Teresa.
I was just gonna say, I feel like that kind of follows under mine because what I understand is adaptation, accommodation, is more like you still have the same curriculum, but you need to have backups just in case. And then modification is it's along the same lines as the curriculum. You just tweak the activity or instructions a little more. Like modifications more of I guess I don't know how to explain it, but when she was talking about it, I was like, oh, I can see how I can incorporate that because mine is strategies.
Yeah, I Googled examples and I just couldn't pinpoint, okay, specifics. I need more detail on how I know the difference.
You were on the right track with the computer and the pencil and paper. Like a modification of that is someone on the iPad and someone pencil paper, but accommodation would be giving the child with the pencil and paper more time versus the other student with the pencil and paper or even with the iPad. I feel like accommodation is more of a same end goal, not changing anything. You just, in case a student needs more time, that's what you accommodate, is giving the student more time, versus modification is that you change, it's the same curriculum, but you change the whole activity for specifically one child or a certain group. So that's what I understood what accommodation.
So we'll be making a lot more accommodations, right? And not a lot of modifications.
Yes. I feel like modifications is more of a time consuming versus accommodations. I feel like accommodations is more flexible versus modification, because modification is like pinpoint for one specific person versus accommodation. Okay, this child needs more time. This child needs pencil and paper. This child needs, so it's more flexible versus modification is what I
can change the product.
I think at the end of the day, I just really want to be the teacher that really did think through the appropriateness of it. It's kind of like my daughter coming home and saying, I don't understand. I mean, she's in middle school and she goes, I don't understand why we all had to present except one student. She was allowed not to.
Oh.
And so I think that my daughter would have felt like it was more fair if she knew, oh, she is going to present, but she's going to present it private to the teacher. But to think, for all the students to think, what? We all had to stand up. None of us were excited to stand up and read our paper in front of the class. But
that kid didn't have to.
That kid didn't have to.
Is it fair?
Yeah. I mean, is it appropriate? I don't know if the word fair applies. I just think, is that appropriate? Why? What could the teacher do to help the kids understand why? Because they're wondering.
As soon as you said that, I'm like, no, there's more of a backstory. It could be the child has super high anxiety. They take medication for anxiety, and that was like a big trigger. So like, that's the teacher version of me thinking. But as a parent, I'm like, okay, well, you can't just not explain. Like, it doesn't seem. But then again, a teacher side of me is like, well, it's confidentiality. You can't really be like, oh, my student's not performing, not doing theirs because she'll have an anxiety attack and she's having problems, or she takes medication and we just don't want an episode. So I'm like, I understand what you mean. I'm like, I would want to know why.
But what are some different ways to do that?
Yeah.
If you were going to do it for one student, could you have said you have an option, because you already are having to make an accommodation and that's going to be weird. And so can you tell all students you have an option?
You could have a menu of options.
Or, I don't know. I want to find out more, because I want to see, how can I make sure those accommodations aren't blaring in the kids' faces? They need to be more subtle.
And accommodations that I think of, the only one I can think of is only because me personally, it's weird because I talk a lot. I'm very social, but when it comes to presenting, I just like blank. But an accommodation for me would be allowing to work with a partner. You feel more confident standing up in front of the class with a partner, because if your partner sees that you're kind of stuttering or you're losing control, or they're fully aware of you and your actions and your anxiety, then they kind of pick up the pieces. So that's like one way, is having to present in small groups with a partner, or in front of the class and with a partner, or I don't know. I can see what you mean.
But could she record it at home in the comfort of her home without video? And so everyone knows she still had to read it. She was just, didn't have to do it in front of the class, but at least they feel like she did have to do the work. I don't know. I'm just curious. How can you make sure the kids feel like the others are doing work, although different? That's fair, but is not having to do it at all fair? I don't know.
So I think a good answer to your question is building from the beginning of your school year a culture of choice that doesn't allow for questioning, and building like that choice and confidentiality at the same time, like talking about like how everybody's different, that everybody has different needs, and always point that out as you go, like daily, weekly, keep that going. And don't allow them to ask questions when other people are doing different assignments or different ways. They can sit together, but when they see that their partner has a different sheet for the same activity, they're not to ask questions, because that's okay. Or they have different groups that they meet with, that's okay. We don't ask questions about those things, because everybody learns differently. Always repeat that. We learn differently.
Right.
We learn differently.
They need to be accustomed to everyone doing something different, and so they don't even question it. That's just the way it is. And that there's choices based on your interests and abilities. And so you regularly see people presenting work different ways because there was choice.
Yeah, and then come up with, those menus of choices. Like they have a choice to present their same assignment on the same topic in different ways. They can present it orally, they can write a report, they can, come up with an art project based on that, but they have to pick like 3 of those choices so that they can have, like, for example, they have to have 15 points. So obviously they have to pick 3 things out of the menu, and to come up with all those 15 points, they have to mix and match one that is reading, one that is, speaking, one that is, a craft or art. So no matter what they pick, they'll have to have some sort of, way to mix and match all those abilities. And so that way they can pick things that they're comfortable with, and not necessarily in front of the class, like that example that you were mentioning. So nobody's going to be like, oh, so-and-so didn't present that. That person wouldn't be singled out. Nobody would notice, because there would be more than one not presenting. So it's not going to be cookie cutter kind of assignment. That works. That's why when I receive emails from students from this class, for example, oh, I can't make it today, or I need an extension for turning in my assignment, or something happened, or I can't make it to our Zoom class. I have to be open to that, because it's not one size fits all. It's not the one day you don't make it to class that is going to make you less of a student or more of a student. It's nice when you can make it to class, or it's nice when you can, record your Zoom the day you're supposed to record it for, sharing. But you're going to make it eventually. You're going to be able to do it. Or if you tell me you can't not record your Zoom, can you do it differently? We will make it work. We'll make it so everyone will have a different need, and that will make you a better teacher, or a teacher that is not capable of teaching. So it's just gonna be a different process for everyone, but you might be the right teacher for the right class when you get hired, if that makes sense. But for the students, the same thing too. It's like, what is it that they need from you as their teacher? And of course, you're going to have minimal expectations, specific things you're looking for. There are things that they're not, you can't accept. You're like, no, that's not right. We need this to happen. You become a teacher, or to become a 5th grader. and go to 6th grade, or, you know, so on and so forth. But you're going to give them some sort of flexibility, and you're not going to tell others. You're not going to let that, you know, piece of information be like public. As Teresa was saying, like it might be like anxiety. It might be something that the parents might be really upset about. It might be bad. Yeah, what do you do with that student? How's that girl gonna, what is she gonna feel? How is she gonna feel? Or but what about the kids that had to do their work? How's that gonna be? How are they gonna feel? I know it's not always fair. Doesn't feel that way. Sometimes we don't feel that way, like as adults. Like, why am I here and the others are not? Like, what? I feel that way sometimes too. Like, why do I have to do all this work and my colleagues don't have to? But then sometimes you realize that, sometimes those things makes us better, because we have the chance to participate or do certain things. Then it kicks in later, but right.
All right. Well, glad to hear you was willing to talk more about adaptions and modifications. Awesome.
Yeah, I know. So maybe Teresa, can you bring more topics, more like strategies?
Do you want me to do, because I was thinking, because since we already did, we kind of looked at strategies. I was more looking into specific situations.
Okay.
Because I know we covered our strategies. It's pretty much the same. Like I said in my comment, it kind of reminds me of the gradual release. If you notice, towards the end, it was less strategies that you had. It was more of expectations. Like now you can hold them up to a certain level of expectation. So I was like thinking of looking into like specific situations on strategies, like strategies that I can recommend to accommodate, or strategies I can recommend to modify. I don't know if you know what I mean.
Yeah, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I can do a few couple. So I was thinking of doing a Padlet and having them, okay, how do you, before explaining what accommodation and modification is, I was going to ask for specific situations. How could you accommodate? And then go into that, and how can you modify, go into that, and then at the end be like, okay, so this is what it means, and this, I don't know, I'll think of it, but I was thinking more along the lines of specific situations and how to strategies for EL learners, or people who are more on the lower, what I want to say, I don't know what I want to say anymore. The ones that need more help.
Yes.
Or more needs.
Yes, the lower levels of English, or that have more difficulties, the lower achieving students.
Yes.
Yes.
So absolutely. I was thinking I can fit in accommodations and modifications like that.
Yes. So bring what you're gonna bring, and then we'll see what other questions we'll have after that.
Okay.
Yes, we're excited to see what you're gonna bring.
Sounds good.
I hope your children feel better.
Oh my goodness. I seriously, this morning I was like, can I just clock out? Like, I don't think I can handle more kids vomiting. And it started out with my little one. And I freaked out. We all got tested for COVID. I'm like, I don't know how we would have gotten it if we got it, because literally I don't go anywhere. My kids, well, they started school, but I know they didn't get it. And so we all got tested, except for my little one. I was like, if we come out positive, then obviously I don't want to put her through that. If we come out positive, it's more likely she's positive. So we all got tested and we all came out negative. And my thing is, it's a stomach virus, because they can't keep anything down. I'm like, and she's only a year, so she keeps saying agua, agua, agua. She wants water. But I know for a fact she's gonna vomit as soon as she drinks water, and then she'll vomit, and then she's like dehydrated, so she's drinking a bunch of Pedialyte only for it to come back up. I'm like, oh, this is a story.
And this kind of relates to we all have hopes and dreams and different supports, and we all want to be treated equally.
It goes back to the topic, that goes back to what you're talking about before. It goes back to respect, to acceptance, to all of that. I think maybe if I were to go back to your presentation, maybe we could add not only theories of learning and needs, we could talk about needs in a sense of students with special needs. We could talk about students with exceptional needs in a sense of like, being, special, like your daughter, she's super intelligent. How can we exceed her expectations, or students like her? She needs more than what she's getting. How do we do that? So what are some strategies and what are some suggestions? Exceptional learners, that's super difficult, because the older they get, the less you can give them, because they get so like how am I gonna say that? They are a difficult crowd to please.
Oh, it's hard, because the adaptions that were made before, okay, she's in 5th grade, but she's an excellent reader and writer, so they have her participate in the 8th grade reading book. Okay, so she's still with her age group, but she's turning in work to the 8th grade teacher. She's enjoying it, but what do you do now? She's in 6th grade, and she's already done all those.
Bored.
Like, what do you?
You can only do so many, readings and, assignments for writing.
She gets frustrated. She's like, I can't understand why the teacher is still teaching about how to do this, types of writing, and getting on to all her classmates about start, or, topic start, whatever. She's like, didn't we learn that in like 1st grade? I'm going, honey.
They don't get it. Yeah.
You were taught it, you learned it, you moved on, but
they don't get it.
Just revisit things, okay?
She's frustrated.
She is, and so I'm frustrated, because
she just
every time I move her to another school, I think this is the last time, and now I know there'll probably be a few more.
Which grade is she in?
She's in 7th now.
Wow.
Yeah. 7th
she just needs more. Yeah. So you could think about students' needs.
I mean, she reads a 300 something page book in a day.
I bet.
Yeah.
And she wants more.
Her teacher got excited when she stopped writing 8-page reports. I would tell her, I'm not reading your report until it's 4 pages long.
Oh, right.
I might as well read the book, honey. She's like, okay, I'll try.
My gosh, the teacher's just kind of giving her busy work at this point, just so she can be like.
Now the frustrating thing is, she ends up being sent to the office to do chores and this and that, and then I start getting frustrated, because I'm paying $8,000 for my child to do what? You might as well. Can you pay her to be an office assistant, because she's not in the class learning? What can you do to supplement her learning instead of having her clean the boards again or go make photocopies for teacher?
Oh my gosh. Can you pay her? Yeah. Wow.
I don't want to send her to a special school. I want her to be with kids her own age.
And be happy and feel confident and satisfied with her.
She loves her friends, and every time she goes to new school, she makes friends easily. But I don't want her in a different grade, especially in middle school. Or even in the young grades, I thought it would be inappropriate. I'm okay with her doing 8th grade work, but she should not be in the 8th grade. She's a small child. Yeah. But I mean, what do you do when she's in 7th grade and she's already done high school geometry. Like she can do her siblings math because she was at a school that let you move forward in the math ahead. Everyone's just, so she just kept going and going and going. And now she sits in a school where she's being taught something where she's like, I used to do those for fun. Now I'm doing it as homework and it's boring because it's not new. She wants to learn something new today. I just said, can you guys just give her one new thing? That's all I asked. Teach her one new thing. Get creative.
It's one new thing. Don't give her chores.
Give me some ideas on what I can do to make it fun, make learning fun again. Because she is frustrated. She's frustrated when she is assigned a book she's already done several years ago. It's not as fun. It was fun when it was first, but doing it again.
Yeah. Maybe that's why you wanted to become a teacher, you think?
I think she'll be a teacher. She
be a teacher and a lawyer and a doctor.
It just began. I remember kindergarten when they were like, at the first conference, they go, we just got to tell you, every teacher in this school has read her how-to book. She wrote a how to wash a dog, and it's fantastic. And so, yeah, in 2nd grade, they're like, the teacher said, we had to give an example at some meeting of what an exemplary writing was and what, lower and what was average. And we just want to know hers was. And I'm going, I think back and go, that's not really fair, actually, that her work was chosen, because doesn't that kind of make it,
Oh my gosh, that's
it
hilarious.
makes everyone average look a little less average when you're saying a 2nd grader is capable of this. Well, probably not. Probably.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
I mean, think about it.
Yes.
Now that it's by 4th grade, they want to send her to a special school, and I said no, and I'm just like, this has been a challenge.
I bet it has been, and maybe she could be your like inspiration for thinking about strategies that could give her some more to do. I want you to think about a menu of options, like a choice menu.
She loves those. She loves those. She had a teacher that did those. So when I saw those, I went, oh, I've seen that before. My daughter likes those.
Yes.
Choice. Because she could mix it up. She's like, so this week I did the top 3,
So she likes
those. It all. Someone else is looking at that going, I'm too scared to do those or not interested. I'm just going to do 3. But she's like, oh, this week I'm doing this, and next week I'm doing those 3. And it kept her life interesting. Yeah.
Good. They should do that all the time for her. She should have 10, like 9 of them and 1 in the middle, like a bingo card.
More choice.
She should. That should be her life. Choices.
Yeah.
You should have 10 choices a week, a day.
Yeah, it takes work. I haven't figured out how to help her teachers or find someone who already knows. Part of me wants to help because I keep saying, it's okay. I keep telling her, it's okay if you like the school, we can keep you there. Maybe we can help the teachers. But I don't know.
They need an intervention.
Yeah.
The principal needs an intervention.
Yeah.
Oh, poor guys. They're poor ladies and gentlemen, whoever works there. They need help. Like real help. Oh, I feel for you.
But I also think, I'm going to keep at this because it's going to help someone else. It won't be the first time this happens. And if I can just help them create a plan now, then when it happens again, they're like, oh yeah, we've got great ideas for this. Because right now it's me sitting there at a panel of teachers. Some are agreeing with me that it's their responsibility to supplement her learning, and others going, oh, if she's just patient, we'll be doing something new soon. And I'm going,
when?
I don't think you get what I'm saying. That something new that you're talking about is probably not new to her.
Yeah, she's super intelligent. Oh my goodness. Wow, I am like